Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Grappler Union Podcast. Paul Maloney alongside Anthony Zito. On this episode, we have Ryan Courtney in studio. Ryan is a black belt under Rigan Machado, and he's the owner and head instructor at Crossover BJJ. Enjoy.
8 to 6 minutes. That's what happens in that 6 minutes.
You told me using any technique that works. Never to limit myself to one style. Keep an open mind.
We're not here to take part. We're here to take over.
In order to become more peaceful, in order for you to become better and strategize your life.
All right, we're live.
Ryan Courtney, all the way from Milwaukee County.
Yeah, I drove from Waukesha today is where I live. So that's Waukesha County. Slightly further even than Milwaukee.
Okay.
But not bad.
Thanks for making the trip.
On a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me out.
Way to go. We're like, yeah, you know, it's Friday.
Right.
Friday traffic.
Yeah, there's no rush hour in Chicago, right?
No.
No. God, I hate
terrible.
this town.
I know. Friday. It's like Monday. I don't mind traveling Monday. Tuesday's good. Then it starts getting Wednesday, Thursday. You could just see it. You're like, oh, man.
Well, Thursday's the worst day for traffic because all the semi-trucks are out making their deliveries to the restaurants and the grocery stores for produce for the weekend.
Sure.
So it's like you have that on top of all of it.
Yeah.
Thursday evening, worst day.
And now we're getting into the construction era.
Yeah, and they,
Oh, yeah.
they definitely jumped the gun on that because all the orange cones came out and then it snowed and the
Right.
little plows knocked the orange cones into
Right.
the fields.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Like they say, Chicago has more than 4 seasons. They have 5 seasons, you know. Of course, the construction season.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like the Jeff Foxworthy joke essentially about Wisconsin.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what he says.
That's
It's,
what he says,
road
yeah.
construction is one of our seasons.
It sucks. They tore up Lake Street, so I take Lake Street to go to Monaco's. And right now, I can drive down Lake Street because the side they have not worked on, so the other side's torn up.
right.
But I know it's gonna come, and then it's like I'm gonna be screwed. It just sucks. Like Lake Street, no one goes on Lake Street because it's so bad that it's just awful. But I have a big truck, so I don't mind it so much.
Sure. They got construction by my gym, which is in Tosa, and it's right off I-94. And we opened 5 years ago. It'll be in June, actually. And it was under construction then, and it's under construction now. It's just off and on all the time, or the exits are closed and re-back open and everything. And when we opened, it was a 12-minute drive to work, and then it's 30 and then 40, and I don't know what it is every day. But tend to get there early and leave late. It's the safe option.
Yeah. Do I still have that music out there?
Go turn that music off,
I'm like,
dude.
man, where's that music coming from?
Yeah.
That's Alexa.
Go turn that off.
Can you tell her to just tell Alexa, turn off?
Will she listen to me?
She'll listen to you.
Okay.
You can say it right from here.
Alexa, turn music off.
That's all. See, she
Nice.
listens.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, she's good.
Receptive.
She's a good girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's
like
always
Alexa.
she's always listening.
Yeah.
She's better than Siri. Siri sucks.
I don't use either one.
Can't do Siri. She's not as bright.
No, I use Google Voice for pretty much everything, and
Google's
you can
good.
change it to a male voice, which is super creepy.
Is
too.
it?
I don't know. There's something weird about it.
It's for chicks,
That's
I
like-
suppose, right?
But that's like, what's the Google one? Like, what do you have to say? Like,
You say, "Okay, Google."
oh, that's it. Okay, Google. Yeah. Did it go
Oh, my
off?
phone just turned on. Yeah,
Right.
it was
But that-
already listening, but now it's really listening.
Now it's really
Oh.
listening.
But they're gonna start like splitting it off. Like you could pick several different voices, or you could pick like a dominating female. Be like, Siri, turn the music off. She'll be like, no, I won't. Or get on your knees and beg me. Like,
Talk
Siri,
back.
please turn the music. You know, like a
They probably will.
dominatrix.
They probably will do that. I
Yeah, and they
see
can
that.
simulate famous people's voices, and you can have Sean Connery be your
Oh, that would be
you know,
cool.
your voice.
I like
so-
Sean Connery.
Yeah, sure.
Siri, turn the music off.
Before I slap you.
So Crossover BJJ, that's your spot.
Yeah, that's us. Like I said, almost 5 years now. Time flies, man.
5 years.
Dude,
Yeah.
a lot of mileage in 5 years.
So, Rigan Machado.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting story.
Yeah,
by
I want to
itself.
get into that because we were talking before the podcast about a bunch of stuff, but in my mind, I'm like, Rigan Machado? Like, what the? How does that come about?
Especially in this area, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You kind of hear the same few names over and over again.
Yeah.
I was when I first started training, it was a Waukesha Mixed Martial Arts in Waukesha. And that was a Pedro Sauer affiliate, a paid affiliate. And most of the jiu-jitsu in Wisconsin is all Pedro Sauer started. By the time I entered, gyms were suddenly starting to pop up everywhere. And they were starting to get too close to each other. When I left my academy originally to open up my own place, I was a brown belt at the time. And I mean, when I started training, it was under a purple belt, the classic story of I had a purple belt, a couple blue belts, and a fleet of white belts. No one to give rank. We were getting rank from John Freeland out of Nutriground in Milwaukee, who's a Pedro Sauer as well. So like everybody we knew was Pedro Sauer. That was kind of the whole Wisconsin scene. When I went off on my own, I was getting rank from a Pedro Sauer black belt who was just kind of like semi-retired, come around, train, whatever, was still able to give rank, but was just kind of chilling and kind of found herself in that weird place where there was, I had 4 stripes on my brown belt. We were having guys in for seminars and stuff and kind of we were like, man, what do I have to do? We have to do Pedro Sauer. We couldn't. We looked into it. We're too close to other schools. The barriers to entry were kind of out of control. And what's another Pedro school?
Right, exactly.
So we were that weird unaffiliated branch just kind of chilling there, still training every day, grinding it out, but you run into that weird political problem.
Right.
Like, where do we go from here? And we hadn't even thought about Rigan Machado. We brought him out for a seminar just because I want to train with Rigan Machado.
Of course. Right.
I heard the guy runs an awesome seminar, and it's kind of like a boot camp, actually, if you ever get the chance. He's coming up again in October, November area to our gym. It's brutal, man. You'll be sweating like you've never sweated. It's like it's craziness. It's like you're in a camp for a fight.
Like what's he doing? Like what's his?
It's all drilling. Like he does 3-move segments usually.
Okay.
So like the first time he was out, for instance, and we had him out before the affiliation talks and all that, he did a crucifix. So it was top side crucifix, bottom side crucifix, and I'm trying to think of the other one that he used. There's 3 branches of it essentially. Oh, and actual crucifix, right? So you're on their back, you're underneath them, bottom side mount, using that as a crucifix, and then the top Roy Nelson crucifix, right? So, but he ran 3 moves from each segment, and then it's just you switch partners 10 times each, switch partners 10 times each. You're switching partners the whole time, and you're drilling the moves with speed because you have to get 10 done in like 2 minutes, and he's running around yelling at you. It was actually funny the first time when he was there. It wasn't winter yet. It was pretty chilly out. But we opened the door. We had 40 bodies. Actually, at the time, it was before our expansion. It was probably 30 bodies packed into a pretty small, like 1,000 square feet of mats.
Oh, wow.
And it was hot in there. And we had the door propped open. Had like a fire extinguisher, something holding it open. He like walked over there and kicked it like out of the way. Like I want to hotbox you guys.
Right.
Kidding.
And he did. So after we do all those drills, he does this thing called a super review, and he has us run in a circle in the gym like a whirl mosh, like you're at a concert, and he just says go, and the person nearest to you grab, hit the ground, and you each do one of those 9 techniques, once each on each other. Then you're back on the feet running again. New partner, new body type, new everything every time. And you're just like jockeying in between. So you get that active rest mixed in. Suddenly everyone's gis are soaked through.
Sure.
And it's a 3-hour seminar, and an hour and a half of it is drilling pretty cool. And it was great. I thought it was one of the cool seminars I've ever been to.
I like that
dig
idea.
that.
I like that idea, especially the switching the partners.
That for me is always that we have a few small guys, but we have a ton of huge guys at our gym too. A ton of huge guys. But I'm a firm believer in that body type thing. Like you can't just draw people your own size around you your whole life and try to pill that up.
Yeah,
so
it's
you're
a great
gonna,
idea.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
It was pretty nuts of a seminar. So that made a big impact on us. We're like, oh, this guy's cool. He's big, of course, too, like most of our students. Had that cool style. Did some private lessons with him and stuff too. And he was staying with one of the owners of my gym, who was fluent in Portuguese, from Brazil originally, Colorado most of his life. But they were instantly best friends just because of the Portuguese thing. So he stayed at his house. They started talking affiliation, and they kind of brought that out. And we were like, oh, that'd be interesting, We made the decision months later, and then we brought him out again. And then that's when I got my black belt from him, was in October of 2015.
So to get your black belt under him, did you have to train, did you do stuff with him?
No, I mean, I did train with him because I wanted to. But the truth was, he went through his affiliate director, Mark Massey. I think he's out of Idaho. Mm-hmm. It was just basically like a background process. Okay. I had to get letters of recommendation from all the guys that I trained with, things of that nature. Luckily, I had an online presence. At least you could YouTube me and watch me compete or whatever. So that was kind of all part of it, just kind of making sure you're on the level. And then he came out, same thing. I trained with him a little bit, doing some lessons, and
you
we
roll
just
with
went from
him?
there. He didn't roll. I'd be curious to know how much he rolls. Probably not much at this point. If I did roll with him, I tell you, I would avoid bottom side mount at all costs. That dude's side mount, it's no joke. I mean, he does this thing. He calls it the rolling pin for obvious reasons, and it's pretty nuts. We call it Hegan side mount at our gym. It's belly to belly pressure off the chest. So you're typically taught on that chest to chest pressure,
Right.
shoulder on the neck and all that.
Right.
This was lots of north south transitions, trying to get that far arm crossed, where you're hugging your own arm and just brutalize. Chris Howder, we've had out for a few seminars. He taught very similar stuff. He got his black belt under Hegan as well. So you saw that theme kind of come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, without sounding completely pretentious, it was essentially shopping for affiliation at that point. It kind of fell into our laps, but eventually we were going to have to do something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it came down to the point where I may have had to go find Pedro Sauer and go to his gym or go to the nearest seminar to us, which would probably have been Indiana or something, and do some weird emailing. And it's just, you get to this weird place with that. It's better now. It's always, it's always better. Highly saturated, more people, more everything.
So
More
just to
options,
understand like the whole reasoning, being a business owner myself and trying to understand, maybe some of the listeners don't understand. So what's the importance of actually having an affiliation? Like obviously name recognition is obviously important, but it's not a necessity, right? You could have opened under your name
Absolutely.
just as well.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, getting the black belt would have been the hard part.
Of course.
Essentially not having someone under you. So the big one is that long-term rank, black belt stripes down the road, stuff like that. But having that reference, having that someone to draw on like that, to be able to send that guy a text message if something ever happens, like it's a good guy to have on tap. And he's pretty hands off. Like he's there at the academy. He checks everything out. Oh, this is cool. You guys got your own thing. You're doing real jiu-jitsu. Like I'm not going to implement some crazy curriculum on you and do all this weird stuff when some people would. Chris Howder's a good example of that. He says when he gives guys black belts, he does not incorporate them into his affiliation. He sets them free, is kind of how he puts it. Like you're a black belt now, like go have fun.
Right.
You've already got the knowledge and the skills. Go do your thing.
Yeah.
And that's his whole thing. If you've ever seen his gis are all patched up, unaffiliated, it says on his gis. He's actually either he just got it or he's getting it in the next few weeks. He's got a stripe coming too on his old tattered black belt.
Black belt.
You've seen that thing, right?
That
Thing's
white
red.
belt, it's white now
It's
again.
the best belt I've
Dude,
ever
it's
seen.
just like a destroyed shoelace.
Exactly.
Thing
All
is wrecked.
frayed and that will not.
And that's just
he can't
the
wear
one,
that in the
obviously.
IBJJF.
He's got like 5 or whatever more black belts.
of course.
But
Right.
Yeah.
that's the I'm looking at mine now. Like I'm coming up for a stripe here, and I've never had a belt on this long. You know? Like that's weird. This thing's gonna. It's not gonna be a belt soon.
We were talking earlier. We've got a black belt in from Brazil right now, Gabriel Wilcox.
Okay.
And interesting, he's been a black belt 30 years or something like that. Or been training for 30 years.
Training for 30 years.
So he's, striped up. But he wears a black belt. No red, no white, just
No stripes.
jet black, no stripes.
Sure.
And
Straight black.
I was like, man, that's pretty gangster. Like I look at that, I'm like, yeah,
You
that's
like it because
pretty-
it's clean.
It's so clean looking.
Yeah,
It
that's-
is okay. It's true. I look at things and I'm like, that's super clean.
Right.
Like I can get on board with that. Like at my age, by the time I get a black belt, I'll probably be, I don't know, near 50.
67.
So you're not optimistic.
So, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? At that point,
Right.
I stripes. No. Just give me a nice clean black belt.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and you'll see that's kind of an old school Brazilian thing too for
Is it?
like competition belt. Like they have their belt for competition, and a lot
Right.
of times it's straight black, or even in the
With the
academy,
white, too, they have the
they'll have
white
the
one.
white tabs. They'll have the red, and then you got the white bars for
Right.
instructor. And
Exactly.
it's not just instructor. Sometimes it's just the head of that academy, and
You're
it
right.
gets all tricky. And
It does get
You can't
tricky.
even like look that stuff up online
No,
and get
you
any real
can't.
answers.
Yeah.
it's like, do you call black belts professor? Good luck looking that up and getting
Right.
a straight answer.
You don't
know?
get any straight answers.
So basically, let's talk about this because
Yeah.
what I understand for the black belt with the white kind of block on it is
competition.
black belt competitor,
Right.
but not instructor.
Correct.
Right.
The black belt with the red block on there is a black belt instructor. The black belt with the red block that has the 2 outline stripes on it is the owner of the academy.
Yeah, they'll use. I mean, kind of, right? But like you can really just sway in between all those lines and nobody cares. Like the solid red. I mean, the red is what really differentiates the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt from the other martial arts styles, right?
Oh, is that what it is?
So
Yeah,
the red. That's
'cause
why
karate's all black.
That's why people get busted for, you know, they'll be teaching jiu-jitsu online and they're not a real black belt, but then they'll say like, oh, I'm a Taekwondo black belt, but I just happen to be teaching even though I'm only a blue belt. And they'll be like, that belt had a red bar on it. So what's going on with that? You know, you had to go online and buy a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Yeah. So that's where busted. So that that's so it's, you know, stolen valor. Everyone freaks out. Like everyone's just calling everybody out all of a sudden. What's happening?
Yeah. It's good. Keep people in check, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you should have a fear of that. I mean, I don't understand how people even begin to approach doing that, because I mean, you have to instruct only and just never roll. I mean, everybody knows.
Yeah.
And you can roll with somebody who's 60, 70 years old as a black belt and you still tell they're a black belt. I mean, it's very tough unless they're completely just an invalid at that point and have no working motor functions left. I mean, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't even know what you're thinking by trying to go into
well,
academy.
it's a mental disorder of some sort.
Yeah, certain,
clearly.
something like that. Yeah, because, you know, if you're blue, purple, whatever, brown, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to put a black belt on and go train with some guy. Something's wrong with you.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
missed something.
Most people in jiu-jitsu are like, no, don't promote me.
Right.
Like, they don't want the next belt. Like,
Right. And
nobody
usually-
thinks you're ready.
Usually
Right.
purple and brown belts aren't the ones doing that because like they could kind of, if they really wanted to, you know, they could probably pull that off.
Right.
They're a brown belt, get out of here, right? I mean, most purple belts,
Yeah.
on a competitive level, I mean, I've met blue and purple belts that can beat, I mean, what are you going to do?
I can
mean,
see that.
For sure.
For brown, purple.
There's different types of black belts, as we say.
Right. Different
Not all
black.
levels.
We always joke, all white belts aren't created equal, as they say too, right? If you've ever been to a local tournament with a guy with chewed up cauliflower ear in the 6 month and under division, well, I just bought my gi 3 weeks ago. You know?
Right.
Like,
It's like, I believe you, but you wrestled for a decade. You know?
And then they go on Facebook and put, you know, champion at 170.
Yeah, right.
Like, you omitted the beginner, obviously, but
Right.
or like 3-time beginner champion, defending beginner.
Yeah. Throw that in there.
We see a lot of that. And it's a small world at local competitions too, so you can't get away with that for very long.
Yeah. So Wisconsin's coming up on the scene, though. You guys got a lot of gyms out there.
It's crazy, is what it is. It's great. It's just it's information overload, man. You can walk into these academies and everybody's good. I mean,
Everyone's
it's
cool
awesome
out there?
Everyone's super
Very-
cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a cool community. It's fun going to that Checkmate that was at Red Schaefer's gym. It's like see all these faces there that I haven't seen in a long time, which is awesome. A lot of those old school Pedro Sauer guys are still there. But I mean, when I started jiu-jitsu I'm trying to think, first time I put a gi on was December of 2007. And there was 5 black belts in Wisconsin. And like 2 of them were, you know, occupational. Like they were just kind of floating, whatever. No, they weren't instructing.
Right.
Stuff like that. I'm part of a Facebook group.
Wisconsin black belts.
Yeah, exactly. And it's,
Gotcha.
and I couldn't tell you right now how many people were on it because it seems like it's changing every week. It's probably 70, 80 people, something like that now. You know, I come down to Illinois here for a seminar, you know, I go to Carlson Gracie Juniors or something, and there's like 10 black belts standing in a line. This is 5 years ago.
Right.
Like, what's going on with that? And now it's starting to happen in Wisconsin too. And, you know, the jiu-jitsu is all good. It's just the population density and the amount of gyms. It's just crazy how many gyms there are in southeastern Wisconsin. I don't even know. I couldn't tell you. There's gyms I hear about sometimes. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're in Milwaukee? What?
I mean, we're still learning that out here. Just being like doing the podcast. Or like all of a sudden, we're like, wait, I didn't even know that gym existed.
Yeah, just like
drive
actively
past it.
Yeah,
What is it?
actively searching for guests, and it's just like, oh wow, another gym and another guy, and
Right.
you know, it's like unbelievable. Like, I did not know how big the Chicago Jiu-Jitsu community was before like we started doing this.
I went down to that Carly Gracie seminar at Redzivix.
Yeah.
It's craziness because, like, you know, 5 black belts more probably got made that day, and there was like at least 5 to 10 stripes on black belts. By the time that ceremony was over, there was 25, you know, like black belts in a row at this thing, and the room had 100 people in it, smashed in there, and it's just, what is happening? You know, that's more than the entire Midwest would have had, you know, 15 years ago.
And all
Or
those
less
black
even.
belts, let's say, what's the percentage of black belts who, when they get their black belt, want to open schools?
1%.
That's it?
I would say so.
You think it's that little?
Maybe 2.
That's tough. I don't know, really. I mean,
Now?
it used to be more. Now it's way
Yeah,
less
way
because
less.
there's so many more.
So many.
Because now
the
it's
market's saturated, right?
Exactly. And being, like we said, not all black belts are created equal. Just being a black belt, back in the day, it was you're one of 5. I mean,
Yeah.
you could be mediocre at best, rolling ability, but have some good instructional content. Whatever, you're fine. You're the best source around. And now the sources, there's so many.
Yeah.
And it's just that trickle down, right? Like my instructor used to say, he'd get mad at me. He goes, it took me 10 years to learn all this. You stole it from me in 6 months. And now my students steal it all from me, and they get all his too. It's all just comes down.
Yeah.
And then you get these, and the youngness of people training now. When I started, I was 22. And there was nobody who was like 15 training. There was kids in kids classes, and there was adults. There was like no teenagers training.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's completely commonplace to have all these 13, 14-year-olds that were super good who started when they were 10, and now they're all getting blue belts on their 16th birthday. It's like, what is happening?
Right.
I was 24 when I got my blue belt. Thought I was the biggest badass in the world.
Right.
I was horribly wrong.
Yeah, and we talk to guys all the time that are like, it took 10, 15 years to get a black belt because it took that long to gather all the moves, and now everything's online, and they're like, I see purple belts now that would have beat the shit out of black belts 12 years ago.
And you'll see like that resistance, right, with the older guys that have been around who they want you to put your time in that you put in, but
Right.
It's mileage, it's not time. So these guys who can put in 10, 15 hours a week, it's not the same 10, 15 I put in 10 years ago.
Right.
They're rolling with way better guys all the time.
Better
Like,
guys and more access to information
Yeah.
because of the internet.
Oh yeah, everyone's meeting up for open mats just to check out all the new stuff. I mean, obviously the leg lock thing's gotten totally out of control, which
It's
is
out of
awesome.
hand.
It's out of hand, man.
It's totally
Dude,
out of hand.
I've been leg locking since day one. I mean, I learned to heel hook in the gi. I always joke with my students, I was leg locking before it was cool. And that's still my primary. I probably won 80, 90% of all my submission.
With leg locks?
All leg locks, yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I just did, you guys were commentating at Wanderlust.
Yeah.
So I jumped in on that. And that was a cool promotion.
So that was interesting, and I wanted to get your thought on that. So you're obviously a black belt, but you were going against someone who's a brown belt. Now, obviously, Dan is a high level brown. He's been a brown for many years.
Sure, yeah.
But a lot of people look at that, and I'm not saying like just generalize. They're like, "Oh, I'm a black belt. I'm not going against a brown belt. What if I lose?"
Yeah.
They have that mentality of like not looking cool or getting submitted by a lower belt. But
Most guys wouldn't take the risk.
they wouldn't take the risk.
Sure,
What's the
yeah.
upswing for you to beat up a brown belt? Not
Man.
saying anything bad about Dan. I'm just saying, in general, like
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is kind of twofold. Like, I enjoy it a lot. I just, I want to support those venues.
Yeah.
I want to be on those cards. I want my students to be on those cards. I want more of that to happen, So I'm
Yeah.
like, in one aspect, I just enjoy rolling. I want to show people that I know my jiu-jitsu. And on the other end, I want to help promote that for, and I mean, Dan was, running that thing too.
Yeah.
Dan and Grayson, it's the coolest thing in the world.
Yep.
I mean, giving some blue belts a shot to get up there. Hopefully
yeah.
less of them next time.
we talked about that too.
I don't want to badmouth the promotion that I want to support at the same time, but like, I mean, it's new, man. They're
A
going to
little
figure it out.
constructive criticism
Yeah,
never killed
they're
anyone.
They're going to figure it out. It's going to only get better. I
We
hope.
talk about that. I mean, even though we love doing that event and commentating, that
Say
was
the
our
same
first
thing about grappling games.
Yeah, I say the same thing about grappling.
Yeah.
Fight to win, same thing. Like there's 30 something matches, lower 30s matches. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's going back to that old MMA thing where
Yeah.
you're trying to sell tickets with
That's the
with the
problem.
body. So
Yes.
it's like, but you can fill this fight to win coming up, right? I mean, there's like 15 black belt matches on there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be one of them, actually. I'm
you?
doing that one. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Who are you going against?
Alexander Chung Kung, I believe his name is. He's from Bonsai. He's under
New breed.
Fives, yeah.
Okay. Vivas. Yeah. Well, the thing with Fight to Win is I think the purple belt matches are 7 minutes and the browns are 8 and then the blacks are 10,
Yes.
But at Wanderlust, everyone was 10-minute matches.
I think it might be actually 8 minute for a fight to win black belt, no?
You're right. It is 8 minutes.
So I think it was
it's
6 and 8, which is good.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
like 6 and 8.
The Wanderlust thing was, like
All 10 minutes.
All 10s. And when we got to the brown belts plus, those matches were over pretty quick. It was
Right.
almost like you're giving the guys that don't have the tools to submit each other the longest amount of time to figure it out.
Exactly.
And nobody figured it out,
Right,
and it just
right.
really, drew on.
I think it's smarter to have a little bit shorter of a time because you'll get more. The match will be more exciting.
Sure.
Nobody's reserving energy if they know they just got to bust ass for 6 minutes.
Yeah, and it's a constant experiment, right?
Right.
You look at like Metamoris was one of the first of those super match type formats. You raised canvas and all that. And it's 20 minute matches.
20-minute matches.
So that was like, and then Polaris comes out and they're like, we're doing 15s. EBI does 10 with overtime, and
Right.
they're kind of trying to find that
God, I miss
perfect little.
Metamoris.
I know. Metamoris. I mean, I'm not the 20-minute match. That I can live, but the format was amazing. Like everything was done right.
Sure.
Yeah, the camera and
Everything.
They
was
didn't build.
done
They didn't
right.
build their way up to it. Like the first show was like good production.
Yes.
Everybody
Yeah,
was like, "What is this?" I remember going. A purple belt student of mine owns a bar, restaurant, brewery combo in Whitewater, and he got
Shout
the
it
pay per
out.
view.
What's the name?
It's a Second Salem Brewing Company.
Nice.
Very good beer there. But I remember he, big screen TV. Let's get everybody. We all drove out to Whitewater. Everything's at least 40 minutes from everything.
Yeah.
Where I live. So we all went there though. Man, it's like the coolest thing in the world. Like this is what we do every day, and we get to go watch it. And I'm probably blue purple belt something at the time, and it's like this is the coolest thing ever, right? Everyone's raving about MMA fights,
you
but
want
the
it to
grapplers
be-
are like, we're the grapplers. I just
Right.
want to watch some high level grappling.
And
And now you can find something on. You got a Flow subscription and Fight Pass.
Right.
You can find a grappling match right now that you haven't seen. There's probably something happened this morning I don't know about.
But that production value for Metamoris was bar none. I mean, out the gate. Like, look at the first EBI. You're like, oh yeah, and now they're still trying to figure out. Like
Yes.
even today, they're
Well, that's
still
because
figuring
they're
out.
keeping up with the competitors who
Right.
are modifying their training for the rule system, and then you'll hear guys like Eddie Cummings who will literally say,
I'm going overtime.
"I'm going overtime because
That's how you
I
win."
want to win." Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
and you can't blame him for that. That's
You
especially
can't.
with the money involved. yeah.
Especially because everyone else he's about to compete against is doing the same
Right?
thing.
He's like, I'll sub all the guys I know I can sub, and then
Right.
when I get to the guy that they really wanted me to go against at the end,
Right.
which is all set up to do,
Yep.
then I'm going to overtime and
Right.
starting on his back.
Yeah, I mean,
And then you're drilling those positions at the gym. I mean, we do it too because I've done a few EBI format competitions and stuff too. It's like, all right, we got to start drilling. You got to start on the back.
you
got
got
to
to
start
drill the
spider web
overtime.
now.
Yeah.
because you can not say easily, but I mean, there's obvious ways of no gi where you can, not get submitted and still look like you're fighting. I mean, they
Yes.
do it. It's just
I think Fight to Win has the best format out there, rule set wise.
I am a very big fan of the 3 flag decision, man.
Yes.
It's like common sense jujitsu, flag up.
Yeah.
you know?
Kasai has that also.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have seen some pretty insane decisions, but they're rare. But when they
Right.
do happen, it's like I'm not really sure what they were looking for there. I know they really push the submission attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've seen some where neither guys tried to submit each other at all, and
It's
it was
just
like got out wrestled like crazy, and then they gave it to the guy in the bottom, almost to like I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I'm punishing the wrestler today,
Right. Submission only with, if it's EBI rules and there's a possibility of overtime, there's no consequences during the regulation part of the match. Like you could,
Right.
You could go knee on belly and a guy will just fucking sit there.
One of my best
Yeah, okay.
leg lock entries is from bottom mount.
Right. Yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't go there on purpose in a competition, but in class, whatever. But then
Right.
you get to an EBI format, guys in your side mount, he's really pressuring that mount pass. Do I just let him mount to get this leg lock?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, because there's really no risk here, and submitting, and those rule sets have made it harder. These checkmate positions, like back control, are no longer checkmate because everybody's so awesome at defending them. It's
Right.
like you're forcing. It's great because you're forcing these certain positions to be better than anyone could have ever imagined. So
Yeah.
like, man, do back control.
But when I
but
see
in Fight to
but-
Win, for instance, like if someone's in your side mount and they could just hang out there and it looks like you're getting smashed to the judges,
Yes.
you better move. You better get out.
And the truth is, you are getting smashed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're in bottom side mount. You're in a bad place,
Right.
But if you're just kind of playing that low risk, get me to overtime, right? Not having the overtime gives
Exactly.
you that. I like that a lot.
But it moves the action. The Fight to Win rule set moves the action because it's only 8 minutes, right? And you're being critiqued on every movement.
Yes.
So you have to play solid jiu-jitsu the whole time. Like no fucking about.
And you still have to be attacking those submissions because
Yeah.
like I've seen matches guys get dominated positionally, but because they're getting dominated positionally because they're attacking.
Yeah.
They're going for the armbar they can't quite get and get the guard pass, then they retain it and they go back for the triangle, get smashed, and they go in again. They'll win.
Right.
Because they're attacking. So position's important, but if you don't make it obvious that you're attacking, which is perfect, like, then good. Better get better at your arm bars, right? Like, if all of your arm bars fail with a guard pass, your focus has shifted.
Yeah.
But these venues it makes me never want to do a tournament ever again.
Really?
One match, you can, Eddie Cummings just had a good interview I saw, you may have caught it also, where he talks about the same idea. You're injured all the time. I mean, I'm over 30 now. It's only getting worse. It'll only get worse from there. I can plan for a match injured. That one Wanderlust, man, I was 2 months of rehab. I didn't train jiu-jitsu almost for 6 weeks straight before that match because I couldn't. Because I had sprained LCL. I got a bulged L3 in my back, and I just weightlifted and just everything was good. I'm like, as long as this, it's one match though. Like I can burn myself out in a match and be cool. And then, it worked out well, and it was very slow and controlled. And I don't think either of us got our heart rate up that much even. It was good. But in a tournament, you can't walk into a tournament with this, and it's unknown until you get there most of the time. Yeah. Like, how many matches do I have? Well, I'll tell you when I get there. Right. Oh, 12? Well, blow my brains out. Yeah. Like, you're gonna really, the day after that tournament, the injuries are really gonna. Yeah. One of my purple belts, David, big time up and coming competitor. You'll see him around here as well. He won the last New Breed Absolute a few months ago, but he just did that checkmate thing, and it's like round robin, dude, like 12 matches in a day. I mean, he was just a train wreck afterwards.
Those young bucks, they like that shit, but like,
he started at the same age I did, so he's a purple belt now. He's 27, so he's not as young as as is expected almost at this point, right? But he's still young. I mean, don't get me wrong, but the jiu-jitsu mileage it ages you artificially, clearly. Some guys that don't have compassion for that are usually the ones that are genetic anomalies, who the Randy Coutures of the world, never had a surgery. I've never even sprained an ankle. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
What?
Yeah. That's it's tough.
So you don't do IBJJFs then, no?
No, I have never done one.
Never.
Mainly when I first started, there was no access to it anyways. I mean, in 2007, I don't even know if the Chicago was doing opens yet. Maybe they were, but nobody I knew talked about it. We didn't have a school that was registered anyways. But as I started with MMA and then went, and I kind of had that little wrestling hybrid. I never even wrestled at any decent level. I did a year and a half in high school, whatever, but it was more the idea, be on top always, right. Pressure, pass, smash, all this. My original instructors were the same thing. They were like Cro-Magnon men. Low brows and giant arms, Right. I appreciate every second of it because it's hard to make me uncomfortable in the bottom. But it's that idea. It's just what happened to judo, essentially, is the way I look at it at this point, where there are schools who train for IBJJF, which is fine. The jiu-jitsu is totally legit still. Yeah. But it's definitely become its own thing, essentially. And your hope is that they never change the martial art, change the self-defense, change even just the grappling because of a rule set. Judo not allowing you to grab legs, for instance, and suddenly you can't take down half the body. Why is it not allowed? Because it's effective. If you're making rules against effectiveness, seems really bizarre to me. Yeah. And my pet peeve, of course, was most people with IBJJF is no heel hooks. Nogi black belts can't heel hook each other. It's just beyond me, to a point where
I agree.
I don't really know what the argument could be there. I mean, my white belts are heel hooking each other in class, and there's injuries, but no more than there are with any other. Probably the most likely way to get injured in class, if I would bother to take like a statistical analysis of this, is accidental, like jamming fingers, twisting your knee on planting, stuff like that. Submissions are usually pretty low on the level of actually getting stuff busted. Right. Competition's sometimes different, but there's no accelerated prevalence that I see in leg locks. But especially when you're talking black belts now, it's like, what are you talking about? You got 2 black belts in Nogi, and you're still not gonna do this.
100% Nogi, that boggles my mind.
It's craziness.
But I've been, we talk about this almost every episode, and I like hearing everyone's opinions, and I'm kind of getting pushed towards like just fucking heel hooks, gi, no gi, like. Just have it.
Even in the gi is fine. We started doing it actually again. So when I started, it was all good.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know neck cranks and heel hooks or everything. It's a combat sport.
It's a
We're
tap.
supposed to tap each other.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We don't do single joint manipulation. It's kind of because that's definitely going to rip your finger off.
Right.
But hopefully, it would get that choke free. But it's mind boggling. Yeah. So I would do that, and then I would go to an open mat, and I'd like heel hook someone in the gi, and I'm like, the craziest person in the world for doing that.
Yeah.
Like, how did you not know? It's like, well, it's because there's barely any gyms, and I've barely been to open mats, and I thought this was cool.
Right.
But now, because it's suddenly cool again, right, to do leg locks, the gi makes them even better. I mean, I was actually just training with Mark Lehman the other day. He's out in Pewaukee now in Wisconsin. And he had all these questions about leg locking. He's like, I'm not really doing any of this new school stuff, but I want to see all this. I'm showing him all this stuff. And we rolled in the gi, the heel hooks. I couldn't get that dude in heel hook like ever. Like, what are you talking about? That guy's designed to smash and keep his legs back and be heavy. And even if you get it, the gi makes it really tough. If anything, it just cleans it up, makes it better. And obviously the whole new school part of leg locking, focusing on position over the hook, naming the system, the whole system for it and everything. It's made it was a lot more dangerous 10 years ago when you fell back on a heel and the only attachment you had to their body was their heel and your armpit.
Right,
legs are just flailing to the wind,
around,
right?
right?
Like, whatever, man. I'm hoping for an entanglement. Very few guys knew how to control leg position. And as much as I'm sure you guys heard the Danaher podcast on Joe Rogan, and he was kind of talking about how they're not as dangerous. And Eddie Cummings, though, I went to a couple seminars with him, had the opportunity to roll with him. He actually said they are more dangerous, mainly because, if you look at any other jiu-jitsu position, let's say you're in an arm bar, your body is completely wrecked in an arm bar, right? Like you are combat ineffective. You're on your back. There's a leg on your face. You can't access your opponent with really anything. You're in full defense. Back control, same thing, right?
Yeah.
Heel hook is only your heel, especially with the old system, right?
Yeah.
Only heel. You're free to move pretty much anywhere you want, except that it'll break your leg when you do. So like you have this really awkward, like your foot's stuck in a train track. Like if you just fall over, your ankle might break, which can happen in leg locks. But with a newer system of control, 2-leg control, keeping them from standing and all that really, really crushes that injury rate down to a point where I am now comfortable going right back into the gi and heel hooking again. And nobody's getting hurt doing it.
Right.
Because once that heel gets grabbed, everything's so perfect that you're done. You're done.
Yeah. And then I think like but someone who's familiar with leg locks and familiar with heel hooks, like when we watch tournaments, we see a lot of guys like, and I'll even look at them, like question it. I'm like, oh wow, that seemed like a fast tap. But then when I think back to my training and train with someone like one of the guys, my coach is Javier, who taught me pretty much all my leg locks. Once he gets that leg, like I know once he gets it, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to get out of it. I know when to fight and when I'm caught.
Yeah, if him establishing position is already like painful, and he hasn't even really put it on yet, you're done.
Yeah, I mean, so I think educating, and recently, so I started teaching beginners class at Mineco's.
Okay.
I introduced this week position for straight ankle. So Ashigarami, right? Single leg X, another, right? So
yeah, they didn't even have like when I learned leg locks, right? They just called it a straight ankle lock. They called it a heel hook. There was no positional name.
Positional names.
So it's just like grab this thing.
So right now, none of the white belts or even a lot of our blue belts understand even the position. So when I showed up at the gym a year and a half ago, whatever it was, I came from a leg lock heavy school, and I would get them in leg locks, straight ankle locks. That was like my go-to, and it was simple. It was like, wow, what's this guy doing? They didn't even know what the position was. They didn't know how to push the leg down. They didn't know what to do. So when I recently took over this the beginners class, I'm like, you know what? I don't want them to concentrate on the straight ankle lock. That's not what I want to teach them. I want to teach them the position, understanding what you're in, how to get to that position, and use it more as a control position and a passing position,
and how to get out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sure.
I'm not saying, because Andre would yell at me for this. if I'm like, don't draw back for the straight ankle lock ever.
Andre comes back from
Yeah, that's
Brazil, and
right.
all of a sudden everyone's falling back for straight ankles. They'd be like,
He's fucking-
Zito, that's it. No more teaching.
I had a purple belt. I still have a purple belt. A good friend of mine. He does massage for us and stuff too out of the gym, which is amazing. But he trained at Andres for a year. He moved down here with his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, he comes from my system and is just a leg locking machine.
Right.
And yeah, like right away. I mean, he knew he couldn't heel hook,
Right.
but he's straight ankle locking brown belts day
Right,
one,
right.
no
Yeah.
problem. And he got yelled at just for that. Kind of like, I don't even care if it's illegal, don't use it.
Right.
I was like, whoa. When he first texted me that, I was like, what's going on here? You know, it's
So,
kind of
Andre
it's a
allows
culture shock almost.
the higher belts to leg lock each other, like Paul can leg lock Kaio and and stuff like that. No problem whatsoever. It's just he wants the younger belts to learn, the upper half.
He's
let's just say.
sure.
He's super into like your foundation. Like
Sure.
you better be able to do this, like perfectly before you move
start,
on to other.
Before you
shit.
start giving up that 2, like sitting back and that
Sure.
you gave up 2 points for what? You don't even know what you're doing to give up 2 points. So that's not what I'm trying to explain to them. I'm just want them to understand when you're in this position and what this position means. Like 2 feet in, 1 foot in.
Yes.
Understand.
It's like teaching someone 2 arms in, 2 arms out in
Exactly.
a basic close guard.
Exactly.
If you don't have those, and kind of the problem is if you're not allowed to train that or
Right.
you're discouraged from training that, when you're first exposed to it and you're a purple belt,
Yeah.
and you're behind by like years of, you're the guy who's going to get injured probably because you're not going to tap to something. There's the ignorance there essentially
Right.
of I don't have any comfortability here.
Right.
And if it's a competition, you're like, I definitely don't want to tap
Just
to this
know
and
that
lose.
if that guy has 2 feet inside, you're losing. That battle's already lost. So you got to make sure you keep that.
Sure.
That's just for me. I found it I'm very my hooks. I play a lot of a ground guard. So my hooks are like my everything. Like I use my feet as I would use my hands.
Sure.
If I'm going to grab you, I could grab you with my feet, pull you in. That's just what I do. And I've learned that just being little, that's what I'm good at. For whatever reason, that's what I do. So I like to now, since this is my class, I want to kind of teach that style.
It's like it's like tricking children into learning like the kids class or something. Here's a game that'll actually make you better at jiu-jitsu. It's a
Exactly.
total trick.
Exactly.
You're not learning leg locks, I promise.
Right. You're not learning leg
but
locks,
they're in here.
Exactly.
But they are.
They'll be there. You'll see it. It's kind of like the Karate Kid, right? Just wax on, wax off. Just
Hey,
keep waxing
clean
the
my
cars.
car.
Clean the cars.
Yeah.
You'll understand later.
If they have great leg locks and your gym is super clean. It's great. It works out for everybody.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out. I'll let you know in a year.
I think it's a good move.
Thanks.
So Crossover's 5 years old.
Yeah, coming up June 1st, it'll be 5 years.
How many students you got now?
Up to about 130.
Damn.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's been good. Last few years especially.
That's what you're doing full time now?
Yeah, full time. I was full time from the beginning, honestly.
Oh,
I'm one of those fortunate people who has a extremely loving and compassionate wife who is willing to let me live my dream, and then slowly, especially in the early stages of that. But I have 2 small children, and I've never needed daycare for a day. So I'm daddy daycare. My kids kind of live in the gym. My son's in school now, but my daughter just private lessons, day class, evening class. She's just kind of with me.
How old?
She's 4.
Great.
My son he'll be 7 next week, and he's a little gray belt. He's into it.
All right.
He's very into it. No heel hooks yet, but we'll get there.
He'll get there.
Wait till he's 6. That's when we start.
Well, it's interesting, man. Like we got this weird gap in ages where we don't have a lot of. We're getting more now, but you get that teenage, these young kids, but there's like nobody in between like this 11 to 14. Like, where do we put these kids? So a lot of them go right into adult class. So we kind of end up with these preteens in adult class, and like there's leg locks in there, and it's kind of like, hey, if you ever compete, you can't do any of this.
Right.
And no adult's going to heel hook a 12-year-old,
I hope
but
not.
they're drilling the techniques. Like,
Sure.
here's the positions, like,
Right.
here you go. You can never do this, but here they are. Here it
Exactly.
is.
That's the one thing about like the IBJJF. Like, so many schools take the IBJJF as like the end all be all. Like that's
Yeah, it's not a true governing body, but it's close, right? It's like the Judo Federation. It's
Exactly.
enough to have an impact where if they made a one rule change today,
Right.
you would see a nationwide like switch. It would take a while to trickle down,
Right.
but it would change.
and everyone would start training them, and that's what's stopping it. Because
Well, that was like obviously it was April 1st when it's like IBJJF to allow heel hooks and all this, but
You're like,
it's like it didn't really get you thinking like, well, what if they did that?
Yeah.
And you're going to suddenly get all these guys who never do it are all going to jump in on that too. They don't need them essentially, but
yeah,
it couldn't hurt to suddenly Gary Tonen's back in the no-gi worlds. Like, what other motivation does he have to do that?
And then
Right.
50-50 would be pretty much gone. That position's for
it'd be a lot more dangerous.
would
There'd be a lot more finishes.
Who's doing 50-50 if the heel hooks are involved?
I'm doing them.
In the IBJ. Well, in
if you're-
IBJJF, like who's going jumping in that position?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean-
it's not neutral if you're my original grappling coach. His name is Justin Hutter. We called him Bacon. He told me I did a seminar with Dan Henderson, and we were doing some stand-up, of course, and we're doing collar ties. And someone described the position as neutral. I forget how it came about, but he always told me, he goes, it's not neutral if you're in a clinch with Dan Henderson because it's Dan Henderson.
Right.
Like, that's not neutral. 50-50 is not neutral if you're an inferior leg locker.
Right.
But if you are confident in your ability to get there, a lot of times I'll be hitting outside ashi positions, which I used to do before I knew it had a name, right? Like, this is stuff I would fall into accidentally 8 years ago.
Right.
I'll pass to 50-50 to get those heel hooks because most people aren't good at making the connection, and the heel hook is much more powerful on the inside. Yeah. So even though I'm putting them in a neutral position, it's not
Right.
neutral.
Not neutral.
If I'm
So
better
you're
at
going
it,
from
so.
80-20, passing the leg over your chest.
I don't even
into
play
50-50.
80-20. I actually have I brought Josh Hayden actually out to my gym for a seminar. He stayed at my house. We trained for about 3 days, real hard. Dude, that guy's a beast. That guy is. I was actually just listening to one of your podcasts earlier. You guys were talking about the Eddie Cummings seminar when he was talking about don't pinch the knees together and it's all this movement.
Yeah, do that scissor motion.
Which is great if you're that body type.
Right.
Josh Hayden, man, he's like, what are you talking about? Don't scissor. He's like, triangle things as hard as you can. That guy's triangle on your leg is the strongest thing you've ever felt. It's nuts.
Is it?
It's brutal. Everyone talks about his leg locks, but his guard passing is
Really?
nuts. Just smashed my butterfly guard like it wasn't even there. It was bad. But we had some great rolls. It was great training. But the 80-20 stuff that he did, I've got to bring him back just to ask him because I get hooked on the outside a lot when I do 80-20. So I play 50-50 and I look to pass.
Okay.
But I'm talking outside ashi, to go back to that original point. So if I'm out, both my legs are out. Some people call it double outside, which is, I guess, a big no-no to call it that.
Really?
Yeah, from Eddie Cummings actually told that to me. He says if they say that in the academy, Donaher like yells at him because there's standard ashi, there's inside ashi, and there's outside ashi. There's no double outside because standard ashi, one leg's already out.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
whatever, it's semantics. But I'll do outside ashi, and then I'll pass their foot to the other side, puts us right in 50-50.
Right.
But if you're better at 50-50, you are now in like even better. Because if you're an outside ashi and the guy's big, which is everyone in my gym, they're going to come up and try to take your back, which doesn't work, but they smash you. And now it's like, I got a bulge disc.
Yeah.
I don't need to be sitting in here. So it's just constantly making healthier decisions when getting smashed. And that's actually how Josh teaches to stop someone from standing up from outside ashi. Pass the foot and they fall on their butt. He drops.
You're kind of elevating them a little bit.
Yeah,
to
like
bring that foot over.
you pass an arm over in a triangle, right?
right.
So you just get those hips up, and it just dumps them back, and
Yeah.
they're scrambling to. That main thing is they bring the hands up and grab your hands.
Mm-hmm.
It's the greatest. If you're a leg locker, that's the greatest feeling you'll ever have is when somebody else reaches up and grabs your hands because it's over. That's just they're hoping there's less than 30 seconds left on the clock. I mean, if you're grabbing my hands, you've made far. There's too many errors have occurred.
Exactly.
There's no going
You're
back.
so deep right now.
Yeah, and I'll do it myself. And that's because I'm at the last. I still got one little effort.
That's
and,
it.
Yeah, the hand fighting's the last thing.
Yeah, I got gorilla grips. It's the only thing helping me there. I was going with Josh. He was joking with me because I'll just get a hold of one wrist, and my gi grips are pretty average, but my no gi grips are pretty tough.
Your gi grips are average.
I mean, average for I would say at a black belt my size.
Okay. But
Not-
your no gi, you're a lot stronger.
No gi, I'm much stronger than most guys my size. When
Did you guys watch Kasai?
I did watch that.
Did you see the AJ Exarm match? Mm-hmm. There was a lot of 50-50 there.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
at
a lot.
50-50
He
for
was
like
and he
5
was-
minutes
Same
trying
thing.
to
He was
get that.
passing there constantly on purpose.
Right.
And if you can get that heel exposed, I mean,
So there you go, Zito. There's a 50-50 match with heel hooks allowed.
It's the idea is you just can't escape, right? So if I make the decision to escape that position, somebody who's not even that proficient at leg locks is going to have a good shot at my heel. And even if you're really confident, like it's like, man, why am I giving him a free shot?
Yeah.
It's so you're going to have to kind of stay in there. But yeah, and then the same thing with the gi, right? If they don't want to let go, I mean, you're stuck like for pretty much forever.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's just a nightmare to watch. Like trying to watch a IBJJF match at 50-50 where they're looking at the clock, waiting for that last 2 seconds to get the sweep because whoever's on the bottom can always get the sweep. And it's like, what am I watching? It's like, what's happening right now? Is this a teeter totter?
that's the thing about 50-50. You're right. It's just you're locked in and you're not moving. So if you get two guys that are equally as good at heel hooking, I mean, it could just turn into one of those battles.
It could.
Eventually that'll neutralize itself too.
Right.
Yeah, everyone figures it out, and you know the high level competitors put in all the hard work for us. Right, they figure out all the stuff we didn't have to battle through.
Right. And then put out a DVD, we buy it, we watch it, and now we know it.
Yeah, that's me right now, man. I'm at home with the headphones on and the laptop watching. I reference, watch Enrico Coco and Robert Nacky, Josh Hayden, Craig Jones, and kind of look, and they're itemized pretty well. You can look at, outside Ashi defense and compare all their styles, because there is no, and I'm sure the Donner Hurt Death Squad would lead you to believe otherwise, but there's no one grand system, especially when you start factoring in all these body types, because the Eddie Cummings leg thing with the Josh Hayden leg thing, you have to see this guy's legs.
Right.
It's just like, he doesn't need that, so he's never going to use it.
Speaking of, John Donner's coming out with a DVD.
I saw the preview for that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the Instagram.
He's finally cashing in.
Instagram memes about his DVD.
They're
the best. It's so funny.
Yeah, he definitely waited though. I mean, I'm sure he had some giant doomsday clock that was like, when it hits 0, we're selling DVDs.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder if this was just one big grand plan, like for real. But how can you? How could it be though? Like what is the actual peak? Because you want to release it at the peak, right? What's the peak of Lego?
And that's the thing. I don't
Gordon
know.
Ryan winning
all year, over a year ago.
Yeah, and I certainly don't know the guy personally, but he seems like the kind of guy who's a perfectionist in the sort that it'll never be ready. It's like someone writing a book, right? It's never ready, and the week after you publish it, you regret something in it,
and then you go back in and redo another.
Oh God, I mean,
you think it'll
do you both teach jiu-jitsu?
No.
Just you do?
Yes.
So I mean, it's like teaching is the ultimate, right? If I've looked back at old videos of myself teaching, I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
It's like every year I look back, I could have done that better. I could have taught that better. But you can't just wait forever, because it's never going to stop. So you just have to shoot that out. Craig Jones obviously really, they're like timing it with his matches. It's like DVD comes out the day after a match.
Right.
Yeah.
He's probably already has stuff filmed for like years and just waiting, like when he wins, triangle,
awesome.
C-guard.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean,
It's clever. I mean, jiu-jitsu.
you got to make money if you're that good.
Right.
Hope, it's the only way you can make money.
only way.
Good. Give him your money and get his DVD, because it's still tough, right? It's still not MMA. I mean, it's getting better, but EBI and all that too. I mean, you're showing up there just to get your name out and hope for sponsorships most of the time, right? Like, like I was an EBI, quarterfinalist. That's going to be on your seminar poster, because you didn't get anything for that quarterfinalist position,
Right? Yeah.
It's like Eddie Cummings heel hooked me. I'm going to teach you how that happened.
I'm surprised Donner hasn't released something sooner. Like, for the longest time, I thought, like, why isn't this guy cashing in?
Look everybody. Look at how long his Instagram posts are. How long do you think it took him to make that DVD?
Everyone saw that video. I mean, it was like, here's one. That's like a drilling series, basically.
Right.
20 minutes,
25 minutes. Yeah.
breakdown on a drill.
Right.
It's crazy. And then he'll come out. Okay, leg locks are old. Now we're doing.
It's all garbage now.
The whole garbage now.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
You learn things to shut them down a lot of times, not to use them. Right. I mean, it's like jiu-jitsu and MMA at this point. You don't have to use jiu-jitsu, but you have to have it or you'll die.
Right.
So it's like a prerequisite. But you get 2 black belts, you never see them go to the ground. You're like, can those guys even grapple? It's like they have to. They have to.
Right.
And now it's like leg locks, same thing. If the rule system, you can hide from it. But if all the rules suddenly changed, everyone's a leg lock expert overnight, and nobody's getting hurt, and it's like, oh, that was all inflated for no reason.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
That's
why then UFC coming out, like Stipe versus Daniel Cormier. I'm interested to see how that's going to go, because 2 high level wrestlers. I think they're just going to stand and bang the whole time.
Yeah, people seem to just get it wrong constantly, right? Because you're the same thing. Like, what's going to happen here? They don't release their goals until it's over with. What was the real game plan? Here's the fake one we used for the promo.
Right.
Here's my real game plan.
Right.
So, only time will tell.
You think Danaher holds back in the DVD, or you think we're getting all of it?
Dude, he's gonna release one. He's gonna release one chapter at a time, and it'll be, dude. It's gonna be like video gaming. It's like
$600.
Do you want the season pass? Because it's $3,000.
Exactly.
$3,000.
Exactly.
Oh. You want the system inside the system.
Yeah,
Right.
he left a little egg inside.
Yeah.
There's an egg in there.
Yeah, that's $3,200. But if you
Every
want the
video ends
system
in a
inside the system, that's an extra $1,000.
Every video ends in a cliffhanger.
Right.
Like, he's about to be like, most guys can get out of this, but there's just one trick you can use. Just dead. Just goes dead.
Make sure you buy my next chapter.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that comes out because, I mean, that preview wasn't even for the DVD, to my knowledge, right? I mean, that's just like,
Yeah, I think
here's this thing on the side.
Right.
Everyone get ready. So they'll drive it for a while before they finally release it.
It's
Everybody
exciting.
will
It's
know
good.
about it. Yeah,
Right.
before it
I mean,
happens.
how do they not know?
Dude.
Yeah, Craig Jones is coming to town. You going to that seminar?
I was going. My son's birthday is on Monday, and he has to go to school. So we're doing a thing on Sunday. I'm like,
Okay.
oh man, I was going to go.
They moved it. They actually reopened
I saw
registration.
that, so that and some more spots opened up because I
Yeah,
was like, I'm
more
not gonna get on a
spots.
waiting list. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And now here's the spots open.
Yeah, they moved it to Newbury.
He seems like a dude would be down to roll too, but if
Yeah.
there's 80 people there, then
I don't know. Eddie Cummings rolled with
he
everybody.
did. Yeah. I got a chance to roll with him too. That's where we're actually trying to get a new seminar out at our gym, and we're looking at late June, early July. And we just had Chris Howder, and we've had him in twice. Hegan's been there 4 times. We've had, Redzovic, Carlson Gracie Jr. We try to get, some competitors, some non-competitors to mix it up. And now it's like my selfishness. I want to get a competitor in because going to a seminar is great, but man, having this is why I opened a gym. I'm not trying to make $1 million. I'm trying to roll with Josh Hayden for 3 days and without having to go to Kentucky
Right.
and make that happen that way.
Right.
So it's like, bring him to us. We're looking at Josh Hinger actually right now might be who we have coming out, but same deal, man. Someone who's cool enough to sleep in my basement and
Yep.
Yeah.
and come
Hinger's your guy.
dislocate some of my joints.
Yeah. He's the guy for both of those.
Yeah, for sure, right? So
He's down,
I mean,
man.
So that's the cool part. And
Nathan Orchard's coming out too soon.
yeah,
He's coming at 10th Plant Lombard, I think.
Same day as Fight to Win.
Yeah.
so you guys got all the cool seminars down here.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. Like it's one of the things when we opened. It's like, why are there no seminars? You get the affiliate seminars, right? So it's like the Pedro Sauer School brings out Pedro Sauer once a year to give belts. But what about all the in-between stuff, Like, what's going on here? And there's just, it's dead. So we don't always come to Illinois.
Yeah.
Now it's, it's us. And there's gyms that just never, right? That's just not part of their game plan.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, making money off of seminars is a joke. So it's
it's
more
really
like, it's
not.
like
It's
the
more
hassle
promoting.
it's for
Yeah.
promoting. It's a lot of hassle. The first time, or when we brought Josh Hayden in, that was when there was a touchdown tornado in Atlanta on the airfield.
Really?
So his plane got canceled. So it was like 1:00 in the morning. The seminar's the next day at like 10. His flights just kept getting delayed. Canceled. He's on the phone with us. He had to rent a car and drive back to Kentucky. It was terrible. And then you refund half the fees, and it's just a whole big mess. We got him back out again. It was cool. But we did a seminar with him on a Saturday. He joined us for Friday night class. Seminar Saturday, Sunday, we did like a Q&A for $20. Just show up and train. I'm like, I would take that over a seminar any day.
Yeah.
Like, let's cap this thing at 20 people and do like a Q&A rolling session.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's hard to get, because you'll never cover your costs with that. So it's like, I got to eat some costs to have a cool training camp, basically.
Yeah.
Because we're stranded out here in the Midwest trying to drag in some guys.
3-hour seminars are rough, man.
It's rough.
Man, I was just having this conversation with somebody, man.
kind of avoid
I'm
them.
done
Like,
with it.
yeah, exactly. I'm
Especially
kind of,
gi. I'm like, get me out of this. I'm going to cut these pants off above the knee. I'm going to be that guy.
yeah. I haven't been to a seminar in a long time. I'm going to Craig Jones, but it's been a while since I've been to a seminar. It's just because I don't have the attention span for it. I
Sure.
just can't. I just want to look. Let's go over a couple of things and let's roll and hit the showers and get the hell out of here.
Sure.
Because how much you really I mean, if you're showing more than 4 moves in a seminar, no one's retaining that.
The
You're
only
not.
retention you
6,
get is
7, 8 moves.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's too much.
It has to be a perfect storm of the guy comes out. First of all, you don't even know what he's going to show, usually, especially if you're just coming to some random seminar.
Yeah.
And then he teaches something from like your favorite position is an accident, right? Like, okay, I'm a butterfly guard guy. He's doing all butterfly guard. Oh, great. And then he teaches like off of a common sweep I use. So the chain ends up being right in my wheelhouse. Then great, best seminar of my life.
Awesome.
Then I go to the next one and it's like we're doing spider guard or something that I don't play a lot of. And it's like fun to learn new stuff, but I'll never retain it like the stuff I'm currently working on or the stuff that's in my path. And those Q&A rolling kind of things, it's like, hey, I get caught in this all. Or you roll with that guy. What can I do in this spot? You know, that's what that's
when
the
I
mini
rolled
private lessons.
with Eddie Cummings, and I still use it to this day. He taught me an armbar because he armbarred me like 5 or 6 times in a row.
Those inverted arm bars?
No, no, man. It's so weak. It's so. I never thought of this armbar, but I would
made you quit jujitsu for 2 months and then you came back.
Exactly,
You're like, all right, I'm
right.
back. I'm ready.
so basically, you know, because he pulls guard, right, and so I have to pass. So I would then post on his hip to, you know, pass. I just post out, and then he'd basically ashi on my arm and just armbar.
Oh
me.
yeah, so yeah, he brings the knee over the
Knee
top.
over
That's
the-
Marcelo Garcia that does a lot of that
Like-
too. It's like a monoplata kind of.
I'm like, what the like every time. So I'm like, can I touch you at all
I was
without
at
you
that seminar. I
submitting me?
may have actually seen him do that to you.
Did you?
I'm
Yeah,
pretty-
yeah.
oh, he did it to everybody. He was doing it to
it's
everyone.
every time you put your hand on this guy's body, it's armbar. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I just go no hands, just dive into him like head first. It's just it sucked. He's like, this is what I'm doing, and I retained that. This seminar, I don't know if I retained anything other than that. Just that roll with him.
Yeah.
And Octavia, I got to roll with her, and she beat me up, armbarred me a
Yeah?
million times. Yeah,
Wow, that's
sucked.
impressive.
Yeah, she's freaking legit as they come. Yeah.
Why can't she get a match? Doesn't she want to fight? And
I don't know
nobody
if she
will fight
wants
her
to
or
even
something?
fight.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think she does.
Does she want to
Yeah,
fight?
and like,
MMA or grappling?
according to John and Matt
Oh.
Kaplan, with that, they're like, she'll beat the shit out of any chick.
Oh yeah, she's.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, not saying that. I mean, she really beat the shit out of me for sure, and she's probably being nice,
right.
And I was trying with her. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to hold. I couldn't stop her from armbar. I'm very small. I'm very tight, and
Sure.
I could not stop her from armbarring me over and over again. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying not to. I'm like, you know, T-Rex arms. I'm just like, no, armbar,
Yeah.
armbar.
Wow,
It was really. I mean, I was impressed for sure.
absolutely.
But hey,
How old is she?
she's not my age. She's got to be in her mid-30s, I would say.
36, 37?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have
Something
said
that,
like close to 40 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Around there.
Yeah. So
Interesting. Eddie's one of those dudes too that like, what was he, 28 or something later even when he started?
Yeah.
I love hearing that stuff. Like,
I know, me too.
you know, or some of my students even, I have some students in their early 40s who are just tough as nails. I'm like, oh, like, if I take care of myself, that's 10 years away. I should hopefully be able to keep, you know.
I started jiu-jitsu back when I was 39, right?
39.
I'll be 43 this year in July.
Yep.
So yeah,
It's like you're always just one catastrophic injury away from it all, right? So it's just that, it's just
So
that balance, man.
I really
Dude,
now
I had
I'm
a-
picking my partners.
Mm-hmm.
Really, like I'm thinking about like who I'm going with, and most of the guys in my gym where I train at, they all know.
Sure.
You know, they're not like gonna freaking. I do train with a lot of bigger guys. I just like that feel. So you know they're polite. It's nice.
Sure.
I had a scare. I had a scare recently too with my neck, and it's been reoccurring, and just like it'll go away, and then I'll have a training session, and then I'll be stiff. I'll be super stiff as a board for like 3 days after. I'll let it chill. I'll go back to training. It'll be fine. A couple weeks later, I'll get another flare up, and I'm like, what the hell, And I was getting worried because one of our teammates, Bernie, who played football for like 15 years,
Sure,
and
so
then
it was
also was like
fused discs and stuff in his
way
neck
too
probably.
tough for his own good, so never tapped to anything, and just kept training even when it was hurt and stuff. So yeah, he ended up having to get fused, and I asked him about his symptoms. I'm like, how did it all start? And I was describing what I had, and then he told me, and I was like freaking out a little bit. I'm
Yeah,
like,
don't
am
even
I-
ask him. It's like looking up WebMD for something.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
Like I definitely have stage 4 cancer. This is did not plan for this.
Yeah, and I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to quit jujitsu. So it's like, and anyway, I hit up Doc Joe, Joe Oliva. Shout out to Doc Joe. We had him on the podcast, but he's a spine doctor. Like that's his thing. He's an expert at the spine. He's also a black belt. I'm like, perfect. Like Andy was on the podcast. I'm like, literally nobody better to talk to. Hit him up. He called me. He like basically told me over the phone what I had. He's like, "You're fine, blah blah blah. I got it too, this and that, He's like, "But why don't you come see me in person?" So he took me like 3 days later, and those guys, they're booked like 6 weeks out. But he's like, I'll squeeze you in,
Yeah.
I went to go see him, and he did an exam and wrote me like a thing for like, it's like a Z-pack of steroids basically. Like it's like a 5-day thing to like reduce the inflammation and help the healing. He's like, if you're fine now, save it for your next like episode,
Okay.
But he basically is just like degeneration of the disc. Probably have a bulge disc, but
Without an MRI, you can't
without
be
an
sure,
MRI,
sure.
he can't be sure. But he
Right.
said probably, and
It's like
he's
one
like-
out of every 5 people walking around. More, I think it's like 2 out of 5 or something is like has a bulge disc at any
Is that
given
right?
time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just from walking, just
'Cause-
old
I
age,
see.
like some badness. But
because
then you
I
add all
basically
this,
did WebMD it, and I went in there and I was like, "Doc, so I have this," and he's like, "Look," he's like, "all those words are like scary."
Right.
He's like, "Everybody has this." He's like, "This is a natural aging process." He goes,
Sure.
"Of course, you're a grappler, you're going to get it quicker." But everyone will eventually have, and then he was explaining to me how the disc work and in between the vertebrae and the blah, blah, blah. And, but he like called it out. He's like, "You've been inverting a lot?" I'm like, "That's my whole game." He's like, "Okay." He's like, "You get stacked?" I'm like, "I get stacked quite often," And he's like, "Yeah, don't get stacked for a while. Try not to invert for a while. Let this thing heal." And
luckily, there's enough jujitsu to where you can find other stuff to work
Yeah.
on, man. Because
That's
like
the
if there
thing.
was only one way,
that's the thing.
like just I can't even imagine. Like you're a wrestler, you're doing stand up. It's like, and you got some neck injury. Like, oh my god, there's what could you possibly avoid on a takedown? Jiu-jitsu, you can kind of. It is definitely the mellow older guy version of grappling that you can be successful at later because
Right.
like inverting, like to take a year off from that, and then you'll get good at something awesome you never even thought about.
Yeah, it's time to work full guard or something like that. And I'm
I'm
going
going to
into
get on top and spend a lot of time there.
That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, if it gets really bad, you'll have to say to your training partner,
Can I stop? Can I start on top?
Can I start on top?
Right.
Because here's what happens in the gym. It's so annoying. You slap hands, you bump fists, and then there's like this knee wrestling thing that begins.
Yes.
So I slap hands, I bump fists, and I see what my partner wants to do. They start knee wrestling me, so I just sit down on my ass and I go, "Okay, fine."
Yeah.
Apparently you want top because you're not conceding to the bottom. So I'll take the bottom. Can we start rolling now?
Yeah, and the way-
I'm not going to sit here and knee wrestle you. But here's the problem with that. Nobody else does that. So I always end up on bottom.
Maybe you have like a terrifying top game and everyone's just like, nope, I don't want to deal
No,
with
I
this.
think it's a natural instinct of people. They go, no. Why would I? No. I need to be on top. Or I need to earn the position.
From my experience, pretty universally, it always seems like the upper or the highest belt in the pair will typically take the bottom position.
Yeah, because
at
we
the
want to
beginning.
get on with it.
And yes, well, it typically is how it works. But like, so the way I'll do it is I'll always start on the bottom unless they dropped. If they drop to their butt for even a second, not only I'm going to come up instantly without
Right.
any hesitation. I'm
Absolutely.
not sitting. I'm not pulling butt, as Chris Howder would say, pulling double butt. Even in leg entanglements, I'm coming on top first. Always, and then I'll
Right.
probably punish you for doing that. It's like I gave you the up. Now you want to be on the bottom, you're going to be on the bottom. Like this is your time to actually enjoy guard passing, And then when you're going against someone that you're better than, you play the bottom. That's kind of the sequence that I've always done it, and my students have always done it. Most gyms I go to, it kind of works out that way. Certain guys will just tend to never want to be on the bottom, and they'll do that knee wrestle thing. In which case, I'm used to being on the bottom anyways. It's fine. But yeah, it's funny when you get two knee wrestlers, and they're like. There's a martial art form. I want to say it was on that. Remember that reality show with those two dudes? There was like an ex-MMA fighter and some big, huge white bald dude, and they travel to these obscure locations. You know what I'm talking about? I can't remember what it's called, but they go to like some Central African country or something weird, and there's like this whole tribe of dudes who are all like 300 pounds, and they knee wrestle. It's like sumo from the knees.
Of course.
And they're absolute beasts, dude. And they're like chucking these guys out of these rings on their heads, but it's all knee wrestling. It's just funny when I saw that.
Was that Jimmy Smith?
I
Is that
can't
his
remember.
show?
That's got to be terrible for your knees, man.
Dude, they're like on dirt, they're like doing
Yeah.
this. Like,
Oh, yeah, dude.
but I mean, it's this awkward form of like knee sumo. But
Was it
these
that
guys are
he would
these-
then learn the art and then
He would
wrestle
learn it and then try to fight
and
him
then
at
fight
the
him
end,
with it. Yeah.
They did like stick fighting and like all this stuff. They were in the Philippines.
Yeah, I
and,
remember that show.
But
God, I don't remember what
the
it was
knee
called.
wrestling thing is funny because there are a few guys that I can think of immediately offhand in my own experience that are just like, nope. Like, if you want to be on top right now, you're going to have to fight to the death for it. But from the knees. We're not going to stand.
Right,
We're going to
exactly.
go from this weird position. And if you do stand, though, they'll stand with you. They'll just match your height. And
Yes,
and like you're saying, I
100%.
just want to get this thing started.
So what does that mean? That means that guy, for the life of him, isn't going to pull bottom, right?
Ever.
So let's start rolling. I'll pull bottom. Let's go. Let's do
Yes.
this already.
But to go back to your original statement, if you're suffering an injury of some sort, you got to
gotta-
start picking your partners, right? Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
said. I mean, there's no way around it. I remember I asked Pedro Sauer, man, this was like 9 years ago, maybe. Kind of like, do you still roll? I'm like, I don't know. You know, he moves awesome when he teaches and stuff. He's just incredibly like floats.
Sure.
Like, do you roll still? I was like, yeah, with like 10 people.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
these 10 guys in these 3 different states.
Right, right.
Do you all get together and just roll one day a week? But yeah, it's just complete trust. And, you know, as easy as it is to beat a white belt, blue belt, purple belt, whatever, they're going to hurt you. Like,
Yeah.
you'll win. And then when I busted my knee before that Wanderlust match, I was rolling against a guy. He's a first degree black belt in judo, and he's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. But he's like, 6'2", 6'3", 230, solid, and he's like 30 years old, maybe 35 tops. Just a brick shit house.
Yeah.
I tapped him, 5 times in 3 minutes. And on the 4th tap, I'm trying to armbar him, and he just put my leg buckled sideways instead of being hamstring on the face. I tried to push against it. It's like, no. Knee exploded. It's gone. Like, just audibly pops, and the leg's trashed. And, 8 weeks later, even I wore a knee brace in that match even, and it was just like, just made me just not confident. You don't want to do anything on it. You're more about trying to survive the match at that point, But like I said, with that one-on-one, you can kind of plan for that. Like, what's this guy's style going to be? You can research your opponent when tournaments are just chaos.
Right.
You get some wrestler who just decides to low single your bad leg and just buckles your knee backwards, and that's it. It's over.
It's all over. Yeah. For what?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Tournaments too, same thing. You're paying to go get injured in that case if that were to happen to you.
Yeah.
In these matches, even if it's just a minor ticket commission, something, anything.
Yeah.
To kind of give back to these grapplers, to give them some incentive is
Yeah.
cool.
At least gas money to get there.
It's that bad, right? But it's cool because people are used to paying, so our expectations are really low. If you've been doing tournaments your whole life, it's like, man, I'm putting in.
You're going to give me
the work.
$200 to show up? Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
for
I get
sure.
that.
It is nice. It is nice. I mean, I do like the grappling games and the fight to wins and the Wanderlust. Those are really cool, events that that they're putting on. I mean, I just don't agree with the length of the format. I
agree.
just
I would
wish
agree.
it could be. I mean, so the UFC, if we were to base everything off, let's say the UFC, how many fights do they have on a card? From the undercard to the main card? 12, 15, if that.
Yeah.
Right? It's got to be somewhere on there, right? The main
Main card's
pay-per-view's got
5.
5, right? And then undercard might have 6,
Okay.
maybe, and then 2 fight pass, right? So you're looking at top 16.
The thing is, because it's a pay-per-view, of course, too, they're planning for worst case scenario. Like, what if all these fights go the distance,
Exactly.
And then we have commercials spanned out and we can shrink them when necessary. You go
Exactly.
to these events, I feel like nobody has actually sat down and crunched numbers on a
Exactly.
worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, you're here for a month.
I mean, to sit there
We didn't rent the facility long enough to even have this event.
Right.
6 hours, 5 hours.
Well, dude, at Wanderlust, obviously you guys were there. The best matches, there's nobody there for.
Yes,
Because everybody
I
kind of
know.
bailed out, and I was like, man, I'm sitting there watching Reds match. There's 4 people in the place.
Yeah.
I'm like, bummer, man.
I know.
Total bummer.
Same thing with grappling games.
And those
That's
were all
what
the
happened.
subs. All the subs were in the high end
I know.
matches. So everybody watched the most boring matches, and then I think an easy solution to that might be even just scattering out some super matches within it or whatever. Well, they're all technically super matches, whatever you
Right.
want to say, but one at the beginning, one in the middle, one at the end. Obviously, try to eliminate as many white and blue belts as possible.
I mean,
And,
I get to promote the white, but then just
no overtime until black belt or something too. Maybe,
what if they just
Right.
did more events? I don't know how much the events cost. I'm sure there's a lot of money involved, and they put on a really great event. And-
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, if we want to do don't they, for a 10th planet, don't they have bad as blue belt or something like that, where it's just all blue belts and that's the tournament. Don't they have something like that?
Yeah, I think
or-
Checkmate Checkmate does that too.
Or just
there's one now. I think there's one in Illinois, like in
because
a week
some
or
of
two.
those blue belt matches at Wanderlust were fucking on fire.
Sure.
I mean they were really, really good, and
guys that actually do takedowns.
guys that actually like
Flying off the
chain
stage
in
and shit, too.
submission-
That was
yeah,
pretty nice.
chain submissions together. There were some really great blue belt matches. Like I was like, damn, he's a blue belt. Fuck, this doesn't look like a blue belt. He moves really well.
Yeah, I was interested to see. Or what's your take on that for gi and no gi in those formats? Like, which would you prefer to see? I guess is kind of the
I like
idea.
both.
You like both?
Yeah, because I come from no gi and I do now gi. So for me, I love seeing both styles. I like what Kenny Jewell is doing. So I don't know if you heard one of our podcasts. We were talking about Kenny. He's out in California, so he's doing this event where they coin flip before you go on the mat, gi or no gi.
Oh yeah, I did hear that actually.
And then it's like sub only, no time limit, but first to 13 point wise you win.
Yeah,
so it's
that's
like a slaughter rule, right?
Some crazy rules, man. I like it.
I like that.
People like I love it, but then it's like almost too crazy. Like, did you guys catch that quintet?
Yeah,
Some
I
craziness.
didn't see it, but I saw all the
It was
stuff afterwards.
glorious.
Was it really?
It was fun. It was awesome,
Yeah.
but it was weird as hell. You're
Weird,
like,
right?
Like you're trying to figure out the rules while you're watching it. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, why is this guy still in?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Like that guy seems much larger by 100 pounds. Like they shrunk the match because he's got a weight advantage. So they were given time handicaps, and I was like, I'm
Really?
very confused right now.
Yeah,
I'm like
yeah.
watching this thing like,
Yeah, it gets a little
but
too
whatever.
weird.
You get to sell that whole sambo versus jujitsu.
Exactly.
Who doesn't want to see that? Come on,
Right.
of course
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I think everyone's doing great. Like even EBI, they came out, they had their own thing, and people started training for that event. Now that event's still doing well,
And they've changed a lot too.
and
They've changed a lot of the
they've
rules, so it's
changed
kind of
the
like
rules.
wonder where it's all going to head.
Yeah.
Just kind of sit back and enjoy the show.
But I mean,
And now the combat jiu-jitsu.
combat jujitsu.
That's gonna
Sure.
be cool.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, man, it's just there's so much.
I like
you can
Kenny
do.
Jewell's thing though.
I do like it.
That's pretty nuts.
No time limit.
I love it.
First,
He's got to get that name.
The coin flip is cool.
Yeah, he hit me up. He's like, he's because he heard us kind of
Making fun of gi or no
the
gi.
gi or no gi,
Yeah.
to gi or not to gi. He's like, hey man, you come up with a better name. Let me know. I'm like, all right, man, we'll think about it. I haven't thought about it yet.
Call us out, Kenny.
They should get rid of the coin and do like a dice or something, and have like one of them be like, you're wearing jean jackets. Valley Judo shorts and a jean vest.
like those
what's-
octagon dice where that would be the
Just-
outfit. Right.
Like, oh man.
One would be Valley
Like, you're
Judo
gonna have to-
shorts
yeah.
on it, just a banana hammock.
Yeah, you're gonna have to bring an
Old
entire
Dixon Gracie.
wardrobe with you. Yeah, we have. If you didn't bring your own cutoff jean shorts, we have extras
Right.
just in case.
Brazilian swimsuit.
Yeah.
It's a banana hammock.
Swimsuit.
That would be funny, but I don't know. I'm excited for it all. I mean, I don't think there's any, and no one's wrong.
Yeah, I don't hate any of them.
No,
Right, yeah.
You
I'm
know?
like, man, I wish they would have done this and done this. I can't wait till the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like whatever. I'm critiquing something I love, which is hilarious. But they're cool, and they're more often now, and
Yeah,
and it's a reason. So, like in my school, I compete. But we don't have like these crazy competition teams. We're not going to these big trips for these competitions and doing IBJJF stuff. So you do a fight to win pro, and it's like now we have an excuse to take 20 guys and go pile in a bunch of cars and have
Heck
a great
yeah.
time and,
Yep.
and add more. Just people typically don't stay in jiu-jitsu for why they joined, is my experience so far. Most people, it's about the martial arts, it's about the self-defense, something like that. And then in the end, they just end up wanting to hang out with a bunch of cool people. And the self-defense thing, if guys that start with that notion, I don't think I've ever met anyone who started with that and then like years went by and that was still their primary motivation.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm still just waiting to get attacked. It's like, first of all,
true.
now that you do jiu-jitsu, you can't defend shit because everything on your body's broken.
Right.
Like,
That's
if someone
the last
jumps you
thing
in
you
the
wanna
parking
do.
lot
Yeah.
after class, you are done. Like you're just gonna give them everything and fall over.
That's it.
Here, dude.
Take it.
I just got done fighting for 40 minutes.
Yeah, we got
Take my
started.
wallet.
We're in a downstairs location, so we got a nice big stairwell to climb, and watching guys freaking just my heavyweights. At any given time, I have 5 students over 300 usually, and I bet our average gym size is somewhere in the neighborhood of 200. It's got to be 200 plus. If you took every single adult member I had and just divided out their weight,
Wow.
it's nuts.
Wow.
And I used to be one of them. So now I'm in the smaller
That
size
goddamn
of the
cheese
guys.
you guys are eating.
Dude, it's so much cheese. It's beer, man, is what it really
Beer
is.
and cheese
The amount of
curds in
beer drinking that
Wisconsin.
goes on.
That's like
those cheese
In
curds.
our beverage cooler in the gym, behind all the waters, there's just beer everywhere. So
Oh,
after
really?
class, guys always bring beer out on the mats, and everyone's just sitting there sweating, rehydrating with Coors, which is basically water.
I need to be training over there.
Yeah,
Like
that's right up
crossover.
your alley.
That's what I'm
So
about.
much beer drinking going on there.
Craft,
You'd be able to
crack
gain
a
some
couple
weight,
of cold
Paul.
ones
yeah,
on the
it's-
mat.
The Coors is to rehydrate, then they move on to craft beers after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
Of
is
course.
which is a meal at this point in my life.
For sure.
I used to do that all the time.
I mean, Coors Light's water. Let's be real.
It is, yeah.
I mean, Cito might get drunk off it, but I sure as hell won't.
Might take two. But
Yeah. Yeah. What craft beers are you into?
None anymore. I don't
Yeah.
drink craft beers at all anymore. If I do drink beer, it's usually Guinness because
Good
it's the
man.
lower carb, lower calorie.
Paul was like
But
subscribing.
It's just so
it's a
good.
constant maintenance at this point in my life to just not go back the other way. And all my friends drink craft beer.
Dude,
They come,
so-
my fridge is full of this stuff. I just don't drink it. It's there for people.
We go to where were we? Utah. Yeah, we were in
Yeah,
Utah.
Utah, yeah.
So we're at the grocery store. So Paul's picking up beer. So we go down the aisle, and I don't drink. I don't know anything about beer or anything like that. So I'm like Paul, like he's like spending time. Like, dude, this is like there's a whole like thing about it. I'm like,
Sure.
dude, you got to explain what's going through your mind right now. Why are we in this aisle so damn long? Like, what are you looking like? Is it like because I look at like advertising. I look at the box. I'm like, wow, that box is cool.
Yeah,
What about this one? No,
Buy
no,
by
no.
label, yeah.
Yeah,
Is he holding the bottles up to the light and stuff?
He's
Getting weird.
And then he starts going. Now, Paul, maybe you can help. Start going into like to explaining like so Guinness. I didn't know anything about Guinness or anything, and he starts getting into like the technical side of like the the head of the beer and the pour and all. I'm like, what are you saying? Like,
Right.
It's crazy. Like,
I got students in my gym that do the whole like walking out for new beer drops and stuff. They go travel to these breweries and they're like standing in line like there's an iPhone at the end of it or
Yeah,
something.
right.
And like to get beers like this. Oh, they're only
Really?
releasing it this one time. I'm like, okay. that's
I'm
cool.
not a nerd about it. Like, I'm not into microbrews. I'm not on some list of like, hey, let me know when the new blah 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 drops or any of that. Like, I like a handful of different beers, and I'm just really selective. Like if I like stout, you know. So I'm a
Sure,
Guinness
yeah.
guy, but I won't drink it out of the bottle. It's got to be out of the can where you could crack it,
Yeah, I
pour it into a
gotta have
glass,
it out of a glass. Yeah.
and it makes
Tap is
it
best,
makes the
usually.
nice head on it on the top. You know what I mean?
so what's a stout? Like, what does that mean? Stout.
It's the dark beers.
Oh, a stout means dark beer.
Yeah, yeah. Then there's
Lager.
and pilsners and
Yeah, what's on?
When
top of
I
that?
used to drink porters a lot, and it's just terrible.
basically
it's
a stout.
It's basically a liquified double cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Let's just be fair here.
it's liquid bread.
What?
That's what it is.
It's like I drink a 6-pack and then have a pizza and just realize that I just ate 2 pizzas. Is basically what just happened there. And
Yeah.
It's truth.
100%. I mean, there's been times where I've gotten home and I've had no food, but there's been like 2 Guinnesses in the fridge.
Dude, you're
and
full.
Yeah. And
Well,
I'm
Guinness
like,
is pretty light
I
at least.
I love it. It's like eating. You know what I mean? It's like I'm so hungry.
Liquid diet? Is that what that came
It's
from?
like I'm so hungry, but I'm satiated now because
Yeah,
I just
like-
had those 2 beers. I don't even want to catch a buzz. I'm just starving and I need something in my stomach.
But what does that
And
do
it
in your
works.
body? It can't be good for you.
I metabolize it like eating carbs.
Obviously,
I'm
because
like,
you're still got a 6-pack.
well, you know me. Like you're Italian, right?
Yeah.
You could eat an entire pizza and be fine. I'll have a couple of slices and I'll feel drowsy.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you'll have a beer and go streaking down the street, and I'll drink a case and be fine.
You'd be fine.
It's just you metabolize it differently.
That's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that used to be the case. Not so much anymore.
Yeah,
Some people get it forever, so it's whatever. But I love the. There's both sides of the coin. People give dietary advice based on their own amazing metabolism. Like, trust me, you just got to cut out this one thing. It's like I'm not sure that's true.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't get fat. I don't have a gut.
No.
Yeah. I could pretty much eat whatever I want, even though I do eat clean.
You do eat clean.
Yeah.
When I gain weight from eating, people just think I weightlift a lot. Like I get like muscle shaped fat.
Yeah.
Like I'm not
What?
any
See,
stronger, but I
that's-
just look like I started weightlifting.
That's what I want. I want to
not
look
good.
like I lift, but I don't
Yeah,
put the
but-
effort in. You know what I mean? I just eat shit and look buff and like fill out a t-shirt.
And then you'll try inverted guard and your neck will explode in half because basically being bigger it's funny that you do like inverted kind of stuff. Being bigger is like having your spine in a bicep slicer, because you basically have something in between you now that you're folding over.
Yeah.
So it's knee to chest flexibility, right? That's the big one in jiu-jitsu. And like bigger guys, I tend to see, especially my gym, of course, but like bigger guys will tend to regard with the top knee instead of the bottom knee. Like smaller guys do bottom knee because the bottom knee is like impossible for them to get up into their armpit. So they just use top knee, and then there's this system to pass those kind of regards.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's strange how that happens. And I've got a lot of guys who were really big and had lost weight, and you get to see that cool technique shift. Like they have to roll different. If they don't, then if you don't adapt, you won't survive. Like you have to fix the way you do everything. I used to spend so much time just parked in top side control. I was almost 230 for a while, but that was the biggest number I ever saw on a scale was 226, and that was where it was time to make. I'm like, how did this happen? I'm just doing absolutes. I'm doing like 225 weight. I'm like, what is happening? Like I started at 205 and just slowly oozed up into this fake weightlifting size, and I can't do. I did a lifestyle change after I lost the weight. I'm not the kind of guy who can do a lifestyle change to get to that weight, because it would have taken a year or whatever. Like,
what'd you do?
4 months of 1,200 calories a day. If I drank, it was vodka, diet cranberry. Everyone's just making fun of me like crazy, but the weight fell off fast.
Yeah.
It's like 40 pounds was gone in like 2-3 months.
Wow.
So what do you have? Like the vodka and cranberry on tap, like for
Diet
after
cranberry,
the mat?
man. It was diet cranberry. It was the lamest drink.
You brought that out to the mat?
They have diet vodka, which makes no sense because
What?
the calories are in the alcohol. It just has less alcohol
That's
in it.
bizarre.
It's totally bizarre.
Diet vodka?
Diet vodka. Karkaroff makes it. It's a real crappy low shelf vodka.
That's
What
a
is
well
this?
vodka.
It says
It's like
diet.
a well.
Dude, I don't know what it is. It's
They
not
call it
right.
well. It's not premium, right?
It's like the plastic's not even plastic. It's worse. It's a wax paper bag.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
Yeah. Like if you're healthy and you want to drink tequila and water, that's what they say. The harder the alcohol, the healthier and the clearer. So vodka, silver tequila, stuff like that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
No beer. Stay away.
Stay away from all the beer.
Unless you have an amazing metabolism, do whatever you
Yeah,
please.
exactly. It's liquid bread.
It's like, dude, it
That
is
Guinness,
liquid,
right? What's the other one? What's the number one?
Guinness is like 120 calories a bottle, though, which is pretty low compared to like, yeah, you're gonna go drink some IPA, some full flavored micro brew IPA, and it's like 250 calories in a beer. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
that
that's
literally
crazy.
is a McChicken. What's going on here?
People who really nerd out on microbrews, they're not out for the night. You know what I mean? They're sipping on 2 beers, maybe.
Yeah, they're drinking it out of like a brandy snifter.
Exactly. Yeah, and going home. You know.
Interesting.
Yeah. They're meant to be sipped.
Sipped.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
Yeah, and they're like
They don't drink
13% alcohol. Oh, nuts. What are you
13?
doing? Yeah, a lot of those
That seems like a
IPAs and
lot.
stuff get
In a beer?
Oh, yeah. It's a whole.
It's like having 3 whatever Coors Lights or whatever.
Yeah.
How does that even do that? Like, how do they
I
make
don't.
it?
Even,
like
I'm not
that?
sure if they naturally ferment it to that level or if they add alcohol. Like a lot of meads and stuff too, they'll add alcohol to them because
Yeah.
they can't even get it that high.
Yeah, how do you get
naturally.
it that high? Because I heard that Fat
Don't
Tire
worry,
was.
we can just add
was
more.
Fat Tire,
Right.
because I had a client that started serving Fat Tire. This is a long time ago, and I'm like, Fat Tire. It's like, yeah, it's got all this alcohol in it, like more than normal, I guess. But
Yeah.
I never heard 13%. You ever heard of Fat Tire?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
I don't know. You looked at me like, what are you saying?
Yeah. It's just funny when you talk about beer.
Yeah, I have no idea. I only know because I was programming his point of sale.
Right.
And I'm like, Fat Tire, that sounds like cool name.
Right.
Like for a beer?
We already said you buy things based on the name and
course.
label.
Oh,
Yes.
100%. Like I could shit in a box, and just as long as that
Coolest
box is
label ever.
beautifully packaged, Zito will buy it. He will 100% buy
I
it.
would not buy shit in a box. Never how it was
I don't
packaged.
know.
Especially your
It's
shit.
wrapped in twine with a wax stamp.
Exactly.
Bust this thing open.
One of one. $400, please.
It's really exclusive right now.
Dude, if someone sends us a box of shit to the studio, I'm giving it to you.
Oh,
It's all
please
yours.
do. Please do. Make sure it's a nice package.
That'll be good. I'll go back to my academy. They'll be like, "What'd you talk about on that podcast?" We're like, it started good, and then it was ended with feces.
Yes,
Of course. What else is there to do in Wisconsin? What are you guys doing out there?
Dude, there's nothing to do in there.
Snowmobiling.
Is that why do you think jiu-jitsu is kind of like blowing up
Yeah, I
on
mean,
the scene? Because it's just like dudes are bored and they just want to, they're like, fuck, let's go to the gym and
there
fight.
are a lot of people who do the winter sports. I never did my whole life. Like I did not belong in a cold climate. I hate it. I
Yeah.
hate cold climate a lot. but we usually don't live where we live by choice. Usually you end up just there by your parents migrating. But yeah, a lot of my friends are into winter sports. I took up mountain biking not too long ago and doing the fat tire thing I was thinking about, but it's like more purchasing, more everything. The truth is I just don't want to be out in the cold.
Yeah.
I don't even like hunting. I used to do it when I was a kid, and it's like, I'm not sitting in this tree.
Yeah.
0 degrees. So I'll go use a rowing machine, work out, and go do some jiu-jitsu and do some yoga.
Yeah.
Trying to stay healthy indoors. Try to stay away from high velocity activities though.
So how do you get the bulge disc?
Jiu-jitsu, badly.
Right.
It was in a cage match. It was, man, we used to do this thing in Wisconsin called, you'll never have heard of this, but it was called the NCGA. It stood for National Cage Grappling Association. My former instructor, my first instructor, he basically started this thing. It was kick-ass, man. I wish it was back. It was a hybrid of like jiu-jitsu and grappling in a cage with slamming rules, and you could slam, kind of like Fight to Win Pro, you could slam from close guard. You get a point, though, for slamming from close guard. Takedown was 2 points, big throw takedown was 3 points. So, like, everything was about getting that action, and then they're using the cage and stuff, too. You could get tech falled, which was insane. But anyways, it was dual meet format, so every school had their own team. So all the local schools got to compete against each other, but we were all real friendly. It was there's been kind of like versions of this, but really it's not
Kind of like a league kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just the start of this, but there was like 7 or 8 schools in it, and then we did like a big tournament, and then at the end it was the 2 teams that finally get to the end, but it was just MMA weight classes, no gi only. Now it's funny because at the time there was no Metamoris obviously or anything like that, so this team-based, or I should say venue-based jiu-jitsu, where people show up and pay tickets and buy beer and watch jiu-jitsu, there was nothing like that around, and it was in a cage. But now it's more of like, if you were going to do the same thing today, it'd probably be like the raised canvas. Back then it was like, we need to make it look like MMA to make it popular. Right. Now jiu-jitsu is popular enough all by itself, which is really remarkable that we don't have to try to turn it into something else. It kind of works by itself, which is
well. They got that
cool.
Sug event is in a cage still.
Yeah, that's
Portland.
true. Mm-hmm. So it still lingers. I mean, the cages, I don't know, training I trained in the cage all the time. Beyond MMA, it's like even grappling. We had a cage in our gym, so we grappled in it. We had an advanced class that I started teaching when I was a purple belt in the cage.
So did you have to teach like what happens when you're on the cage, or is there different techniques?
We taught it like if you're in an alley and it's a dumpster, or if it's a wall or cage or whatever. Like, you don't have to be very good at takedowns to make it work on a wall, right? So it does change kind of your grappling a little. I think in a good way. It beats your body up a little more. I mean, you're just getting smashed up on the cage all the time, especially on the ground. It's like we were a big knee on belly, knee on chest, knee on face, knee on throat, knee on temple. I mean, it's a knee on things kind of gym. So being in that cage with Bacon, just driving knees into things, it was an experience for sure. But now we talk about that stuff in the gym now, and they're all just like, "What's wrong with you animals?" But that was pretty commonplace. Heel hooking in the gi and neck cranking in the gi and knee on throat in the cage in the gi, like whatever, right? Like,
right.
But then that's a real technique, man. I was down at ADCC, did a Chicago event, 2014, I want to say maybe. I competed at that, and they did a super match, and it was Jeff Curran versus Omar Chaudhry out of Milwaukee, and he choked him unconscious with knee on throat. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
If you're in north-south position, you S-grip behind their head and you drop your knee onto their throat, and you can choke somebody clean. It's a clean choke.
Right.
But, it's cool because I had trained that way for so long. And Jeff's one of the old school, dudes too. He's like a 5th degree black belt, and he fought obviously UFC vet and all that. So seeing him use that, I'm like, cool. That stuff's still around, still living. People are still putting knees on things.
Yeah. I can't picture that. You're gonna have to show me after this.
Yeah, the north south, the knee. I don't get how
you can do it with an arm in, and you can also just do it on the back of their neck. You have to come up like a tripod almost, and you drop a knee right into their throat.
So you have to come up. So you have to kneel. So you have one leg up. To kind of get them elevated a little bit.
You're kind of in a split stance, and you've got a knee on the throat and an S-grip in the back of the head. It's interesting, but I mean, Omar is a legit black belt, and he got put to sleep in there. So it's not just like your jaw's being crushed, which of course it is.
Of course it is. Yeah, it's
like I call it an EBI choke now when I teach my no-gi advanced, especially we do lots of back. I do a lot of back offense. And those chokes it's really changed everything. Like, you can't defend. Gary Tone was the first one that I heard say it out loud. You can't defend a choke with your face. And it's true. You'll tap and you'll complain and you'll say, it hurt my teeth, it hurt my jaw, it hurt all these things. But the truth is, it was going to choke you unconscious after it broke your jaw and broke your teeth and broke your face.
Exactly.
You're still going to die. Right? And this is a combat sport and you're in death position. You tap not because your teeth hurt, but because the inevitability of your death is actually going to be there. That's why I'm tapping, right? So you have to keep that in mind in those positions where sometimes it feels like, I mean, unless they're up on your eye sockets,
you know,
which happens, or under the bridge of the nose or something, like, which is still mean. It's still whatever. It's grappling, but you're never going to put someone out with that unless you are so powerful. You can. I mean, I feel like a Josh Barnett or something could probably just break your orbitals in with with a headlock. You know, whatever.
Right. But, I mean, it's pretty commonplace in all academies. I think it's considered decorum to, like, if you have a collar choke and someone tucks their chin, and you don't face crush them.
Sure.
You know, they're your training partners and stuff like.
Yeah. Otherwise, you might be seeing some mat justice happen, which is what we call it when, you know, because that guy might get out, and now it's like self-defense, right? Oh, groin strikes. Now there's groin striking. You know, like you just elevated it to that. So now then you get this escalation, and now these guys are like having a fist fight in the gym.
Yeah. But at some point, when is it okay? Like, I know dudes I can in my gym where I could face crush, and they would welcome that because they're heavy competitors, and that's what they're going to see. But I feel weird letting go of that grip just because someone tucked their chin.
Sure.
Like, that's a horrible lesson, because
if I'm on a collar, I will never let go. If it's a rear naked choke and I'm above, it's to that certain point, I'll let go to move on. But if it's a collar, it's also blocking their escape too, right? So like if anything, it's just a handle. So if your face is in there, it's kind of like we always say, this is a statement that all my guys at my gym say, like, if it hurts your face, put your chin to the sky, right? Get choked. You're putting your face in the face crush. I'm not putting it on you. No. Like, you're putting it on for me.
It happens all the time in no gi. You'll take the back. You'll be trying to sink in that rear naked choke. You can't get under the chin. And then the dude thinks that he's like a great defender of the rear naked choke. And you're like, no, I could have smashed your jaw. And I think it's doing a little bit of a disservice. I mean, I'm not saying put it on quick, but start to put it on and get the tap.
Yeah, I work on, in that position mainly, I work on just if I can get the elbow lined up with the chin, as long as it's not above the cheekbones, you're going out eventually.
Right.
And that's kind of especially when there's no limit to time, right? Like, if I have all the time in the world here, my position is so dominant, I have no reason to leave this. If I can get that chin lined up, you're going down eventually.
Right.
But the battle has changed from getting under the chin to just getting that lineup. And you'll see that at EBIs and stuff too, right? Because they're on the back now they've capped it at 5 minutes, but you got 5 minutes on someone's back to get that choke. You're going to take the face crush to win that match. Right. And if it's effective, it's effective. So,
100%.
But it's weird because before that, you know, there wasn't a lot of that going on. There'd be more of people prying the face to expose the neck.
Right.
Now they're like, we don't need to pry your face. We'll just put the whole thing in there.
Right.
And and then having been in that myself and doing it a lot, it's like, that's real. This is a real choke.
Totally real.
And I feel like it did not exist 5 years ago. And now everybody does it. It's very
Why can't we do it in the gym? You know
I do it in the gym.
Okay. Yeah.
It goes back to what you said though, like when there's certain people in your gym, right? Like you're doing it
right.
Everything is done on these completely unwritten rules with people you trust and don't trust. It's a new guy, it's his first day. Clearly that's not happening with that person. But there's that fine line, and sometimes you end up pissing people off, and then you have to have that conversation. And there's a lot of that weird little nonsense in gyms that goes on where I get messages from students and I'm like, you guys are adults. Let's put you guys together, because I'm surprised. This last few years, I feel like, you know, I've been open a while. I've running my own program for 5 years, and it's like few and far between. But when that stuff happens, it's like, that's not something I ever considered that would even be a thing. And here I am, you know, delegating two guys that want mat justice on each other because one guy was going too hard and then they couldn't resolve it. Now one of them doesn't want to come back. It's like, oh my God, come on here. What's going on? If anything, you should be able to resolve this here more than anywhere else, right? You've got a padded room. Let's go figure it out.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
The life of a gym owner, huh?
Dude. It's a joy. It's 90% joy.
Yeah.
So out there, did you guys get a lot of wrestlers, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of wrestling background.
Yeah.
And it's that perfect, like, a lot of them are just, you know, out of commission for lots of years and then come back, but
no young wrestlers coming in wanting to try you out?
No, not really.
No,
I mean,
good.
it is good, yeah. There's there's little to no of that anymore. Especially we don't have to do MMA and stuff too, which helps. So it's just pure grappling.
Yeah.
And occasionally you get somebody who comes in just because they want to see how good they can do, but it's usually not the high level wrestlers. Those guys they're smart enough now to know too. Like they know what's going on.
Right.
They're usually coming in with a specific purpose. So like, hey, I want to grapple, and there's no way to grapple in wrestling anymore.
Right.
Like there's no avenue for us. How many amateur tournaments are there that you can attend? Like
Yeah, I don't even know.
it happens.
that
They're they're extremely rare, but they exist. You can go do a takedown tournament as an adult. Like you're
Really?
30. I'm gonna go do I'm like, what?
That's interesting.
It's super weird. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's super niche. So
Yeah.
you know, I've never been to one. I know guys that have done them though.
But wrestling's still in the Olympics, right? That's still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as I know, yeah. But I mean, you got look at the Dan Severns of the world back then. Even that guy was competing all the time at there's amateur tournaments. He was like amateur champion of all these things no one had ever heard of. But he was super legit just because he didn't do the Olympics. Like if you could be an amazing wrestler, but it doesn't work out in that 4-year it's weird.
Right.
If you hit it on the wrong, you graduate college on the wrong year, literally just because of that. Yeah. Like, do I have to keep training by that's a lot of work. 3 years from an Olympics and I just graduated and I just won NCAAs.
Right. Yeah.
Now you got it.
Yeah, I'll just go fight. There's money in that.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So
you got to keep the training up for another 3 years.
Right.
At the highest level.
Yeah.
At the highest level.
I remember talking before I opened, this is years ago, Ben Askren had come out. I had actually done a wrestling camp with him at Arrowhead as an adult, even though it was like a kid's wrestling camp just to go check it out.
Yeah.
And then we brought him in for a seminar at our MMA school. And he had said like he had just tried out for the world team again and didn't make the cut because he's just like because you have to be, because he was doing jiu-jitsu and MMA that started. It's like you're not the timing's not there. Like you're still a great wrestler,
right.
but out of these top 10 guys and this, whatever, you lost your timing because you just have to do nothing but that one thing. I mean, it's like anything, right?
Fucking incredible.
Right? You're like, what? What are you talking about? Like you're an Olympian. It's like, well, but you have to be training like that Olympian the entire time. So I thought that was very curious when he told me that. I was like, that's something you don't think
did you
about.
roll with him?
I did not roll with him. My instructor Bacon did though, and it was pretty startling to see him get. And this goes back almost 10 years, but like getting headlocked, tapping from headlocks. I'm like, what is this? And this is a guy who. Bacon was just one of those dudes where you could have him in a gi choke and his head would turn black and he wouldn't tap. Like he just absorb oxygen through his pores. He was only a purple belt, but I mean, I remember they flew in some dude from the UK for a combat corner. He was like one of the first black belts, if not the first black belt out of the UK. And this dude took him 25 minutes to submit Bacon, and it was with like an arm bar. He's just one of those dudes no one's ever heard of. Was just crazy tough. Wrestled in high school, made a good hybrid. It was like a wrestling jiu-jitsu hybrid. He got his black belt after 12 years and then retired. He's ninja dust, as we call it now. Poof of smoke and he's gone.
Ninja dust.
We call it ninja dust. When anyone just disappears from life, and then like 5 years later they'll come back and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, what happened to you? I definitely should have called the cops, but so yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, wow. Lots of stuff coming up in the UFC though. I mean, lots of like good fights. I mean, you got Cormier versus Miocic, and then I want to see DJ versus TJ, yeah,
of course.
But it's not going to happen.
No.
It's so unfortunate.
TJ can't make the weight. He can't.
No, they just won't book that fight. I don't get it. They want a rematch
with Cejudo.
No, well, Cejudo versus DJ, that's the rematch.
Okay.
But then they got the rematch at the 135 too.
Okay.
Versus
TJ and Garbrandt.
Garbrandt, yeah.
Who was Ben Askren just calling out when he was?
On Rogan.
Everyone's been waiting for that, but like
He was
in town for
Pierre.
something. Yeah, no, he was. Who was it? Oh, it was who was the card? The last card that just fell apart horribly.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I'm in town. Let's do this.
Get
like,
out. Did he say that? I didn't see
He
him
like
say
tweeted
that.
it out or something. I saw it getting shared somewhere, but it's all a joke because
Khabib, right?
Khabib, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
He was actually, he did share a video. It was like a selfie of himself throwing out a video, just being like he's never going to take me down, all this stuff.
Right.
I'm going to out wrestle him and all this, but it's.
Could he make that weight? Could he make 55? Doesn't he fight at 70?
Ben, he fights at 70, and
but
dude,
Khabib-
Ben's huge. Like,
But Khabib is that out?
Yeah, but 6 days notice.
oh yeah, no,
No. He couldn't. But he's not even.
Let's
in the
catch
UFC.
weighted or
No, I
whatever.
know.
Yeah, he's like, let's catch weighted, of course.
Yeah.
That would be a fight, but that would be something they probably stand and bang the whole time. It'd be one of those fights like you want to see them wrestle and they wouldn't wrestle.
No,
They
exactly.
They just stand and bang.
Like
Yeah.
Ryan said, 2 black belts.
Right.
They just
Right, yeah, like let's just.
you have to have it, but you'll never use it.
You'll never use it.
Yeah.
I learned it to not use it, which is true if your striking's on point. I mean,
Yeah.
why bother?
Well, Khabib striking is definitely not on point. that's a problem.
Right.
If let's say if you're going to go against Conor.
Yeah.
Because can he eat? How many shots can he eat before he gets to Conor?
You a Conor fan, Ryan?
I don't know, man. When it first started happening, I'm just always like the anti-douche promotion standpoint of like, this is WWF.
Right.
What is happening?
Right.
And then, of course, he backed it up several times. The boxing thing I thought was kind of a farce.
Yeah.
I remember watching that and then being like, what did I expect to see when I turned this on?
Yeah.
Because I'm watching a boxing match now. Somehow I thought I wasn't going to watch a boxing match. Like somehow my mind had turned this into like
Something else.
Something else. It's
They
going to
did
be
a good job of
miraculous. It's
selling
gonna be crazy.
it.
Yeah.
They
And it's just
did.
like, here it is. Here's another boxing match that I've been suckered into
Another
watching.
Floyd match.
Yeah,
that you got
right.
suckered
Yeah,
into.
he's a genius. It's horrible.
And now he's saying he's going to be
Dude,
he's
his
gonna do MMA.
craziness of MMA and like, but that's how the boxing thing started. Nobody believed it for a while,
Yeah.
and then it's like it
But
built
then
its
they're
own
saying
momentum.
that he'll do MMA, but in a boxing format with the
does
lighter
that
gloves
even
on.
mean?
So it's like you can't kick me, you can't take me down, you can't elbow me.
Yeah.
Well, oh, okay.
And the
It's going to be
fence-
in a
yeah.
cage in bare feet with 4-ounce gloves,
Right.
but
That's it.
only boxing.
Only
So,
boxing.
So it's basically a bare knuckle boxing match.
Basically,
and,
yeah.
and we'll electrify the cage
And,
just for fun.
and you can clinch. Like the
Oh,
ref,
that's right, you
the
can
ref
clinch.
won't break up a
geez.
clinch.
So
Right.
dirty boxing, essentially.
So dirty boxing,
which
yeah.
he's still going to be amazing at.
He still would be
Like, he's just a
100%.
freaking
Right.
beast. yeah.
Rogan thinks Conor wins under those rule sets.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't know where he's
Dude.
talking. I think he's
4-ounce
wrong
glove.
on that one. Yeah. Floyd, 4-ounce glove. You know how
2,000
fast that
punches
dude
per
is?
second. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah,
that.
but his hands are brittle, super brittle.
Oh, that dude's hitting you a fucking dozen times. And you're,
Dude, he breaks his hands like
I don't
all
think
the
they're that
time.
bad. They're fucking so taped up. No
Yeah,
way, dude.
I don't know.
It'll be the same exact fight.
Yeah,
as
I
the
agree.
first fight.
I agree.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Where he'll just wear
Yeah,
him
same
down,
thing. I'll
punch
tune
himself
in
out.
like a sucker. And
Right,
I'll watch
yeah, I'll pay for it,
You know,
sure,
and
sure.
then I'll be expecting this craziness, and then like nothing will happen, and it'll be a slow burn, and then you'll get a technical
Right.
knockout, and
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be totally disappointed, and then I'll do it all over again in a year. Somebody else.
right.
I mean, what else is they? I mean, they $4 billion, right? That's what they spent. They gotta put these fights together.
Yes.
They gotta do these big fights.
Yeah,
They have to.
CM Punk coming back.
Yeah, I hit up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's coming back. He's fighting. So he's 0-1, right? And the guy he's fighting is 0-1. So,
Okay, good.
all right, that's a good.
That's fine.
That's
Yeah,
good.
right.
I like that.
Dude, I had
Well, the
like,
guy's 0-1 per UFC, correct?
UFC,
yeah.
yes.
So I mean, I'm sure he has a litany of professional and or amateur, of course. Probably has 5 amateur fights before that, something like
I
that. I
don't
don't know
think so.
anything about him. No amateur fights. Human rights. Interesting.
I think his first fight was the UFC. He hasn't done any amateur.
that's correct.
Yeah.
like CM Punk or the other guy.
CM Punk.
Yeah, CM Punk. I know it doesn't. I'm
yeah.
saying the other guy.
Oh, he probably has some
That's what I
amateur.
mean. Like, it's
yeah,
still
yeah,
not. Yeah,
he's still not.
How did he
right.
sneak in under that?
Yeah.
Is he famous? What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I like to see. I mean, I'm sure he's progressed, and he hasn't been out a year and a half, right?
Yeah, I think he got his blue belt in between that time. He's
did
at
he?
Duke's. He's right down the
Yeah.
road from me.
Oh, is
Actually,
he?
he's about 10 minutes down the road.
I actually hit him up. I hit
yeah?
up, well, not him personally. I hit up his publicist to see if we can get him on the podcast.
Sure.
How'd that go?
I have not heard back.
Like, this was a year and a half ago. This is a year and a half ago. I'm still optimistic that at any moment.
I'm trying to be optimistic. Yes. No, it was like
Should've done
last
a read
week.
receipt on that email.
Well, I was just like, I was looking at the card that's coming in. I know, right? I was looking at the card that's coming in, and I'm like, oh, let's see if we can, grab some Chicago guys for the UFC fight, whatever. And I'm like, oh, CM Punk, he's local. Oh, why not? Let's
Yeah,
see.
give it a shot.
How do I
Like-
get it? You never know.
Listen,
Till you
crazier
ask.
shit has happened just from asking.
That's right. Plus, I mean, Daniel Wanderlei, who trains with him,
Yes.
I know him. We've talked. He's going to be on the podcast. So I'm like, well, there's a connection somewhat,
There's a-
right?
Yeah, for sure.
He doesn't know yet.
He doesn't know yet, but there's somewhat of a connection.
Right.
You know,
So,
I competed against Daniel at a new breed. It was the only match he did. I did the absolute and the no gi and everything,
Yeah.
and then I had him in a gi match.
How'd that go?
It was like my 7th match. He pulled close guard. We spent the whole match in there. 30 seconds left. He broke my wrist with a freaking wrist lock. It was nice.
Whoa.
He broke it?
He broke it?
Oh, it was
You didn't
snapped.
tap?
Oh, I tapped. I screamed tap.
Oh,
like
so-
a girl.
so
You probably
it's-
hear that shit from the next city over.
So it just snapped.
Yeah, it
he
was from
didn't give you a
close guard,
chance?
So no, to be fair, there is no chance in that position.
Right.
Because he got like my hand went to his belt. I know that's the system he plays, so I was avoiding it most of the match. But once I yelled 30 seconds left, he just started like moving just crazy. And in that chaos of him just trying to bump my hips around all nuts, I put my hand down on the belt. Did that V grip on the hip, and he pulled me in and grabbed the back of my elbow. So it was just like that body crunch, So
Yeah.
your hand's trapped deep inside of there. And I went over his shoulder, like head almost to the mat. So when I went over, I'm tapping the second. I know
Right.
I've been in there before, and I knew, but if he would not have applied it that hard, I probably would have gotten out. So I mean, you kind of it's like one of those horrifying moves.
That's why I tell this guy all the
people
time.
are worried about leg locks, and it's like
Fucking wrist locks are scary.
are super dangerous.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
Right.
They are. I love them. I use them all the time, but I don't apply them like that because I don't use them in tournament either.
Exactly.
But he's very good at wrist locks. I had so many matches that day too. It was terribleness. I was like, oh, at least. Then after he broke my wrist, I had another good match in that division. So we just taped it up, and I was, whatever. It was fine.
Did you win the next match?
Yeah, I got to Inside Senkaku and ended up. I was trying to do like a leg vice or a leg knot, whatever you want to call it in there. And the ref kept yelling at me for like knee reaping, even though I'm like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. So I went to a knee bar, got the knee bar instead. And I did it with one hand and then my collar. Dude, my hand was trashed. I arm dragged the guy to the ground, and it was painful, very painful to do it.
Which wrist was it?
It was my right wrist, and I arm dragged with my right hand.
Yeah.
I did it just to get him to the ground, and then I just didn't use my hand for the rest of the time, and it worked out beautifully. He was a cool guy too, like very controlled. I think he's where have I seen him before? I've seen him at seminars in the area, so he's from Illinois here somewhere. I wanted to say Redzovic, but it might be somewhere else. But yeah, so at least I finished the day slightly good, but that was a rough 6 weeks, man. That wrist was busted.
Damn.
That was a nice sub though.
Oh,
Yeah, man, it was nice.
It was.
Yeah, it was quick, man. It's all on YouTube somewhere. I think he uploaded the video, so if you want to watch my wrist break, you can look it up. It's a whole lot of nothing, right? 4.5 minutes of nothing,
And then
a second to break.
What about Fight to Win coming to Milwaukee? Have they been there yet?
Fight to Win has not, that I'm aware of. This next one is May 5th.
Yeah.
Cinco de Mayo. That'll be cool. That card looks sweet too.
You're gonna
I gotta be
talk
honest.
to
I
Seth?
would go.
Talk to Seth about bringing the show to Milwaukee.
Yeah, not a bad idea. He's competing on this one too. He's going against Shoney Carter, right?
Mr. International.
Yeah,
That's
we had
crazy.
him on the
You just had him
podcast.
on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's happening.
That's awesome.
Bill Cooper's going against Vives. That should be cool. I mean, there's some cool matches on. I would have gone to see that probably either way. But
Yeah, lots of good matches on that card. Again, it's a lot of matches on that card.
yeah, there's a lot. But at least the second half, if you're a spectator and you cared to, you could show up halfway through and just get nothing but black belt matches for 2 hours, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Which 10 years ago none of that existed, so there wasn't enough guys to pool together to even make that.
I
work.
guess the event is just. I mean, when you think about it, you got to have the blue, the purple, the brown. I'm sorry, the purple, the brown, and the black. That's what the Fight to Win does. I don't know how much
They do
those
some
events
youth matches
cost.
and stuff
They do
usually
some
too, don't
youths,
they?
Yeah. I guess I understand they're trying to maximize that whole dollar. I just really just like, I don't know. Could you do all purple venue and people not show up? I can imagine that. I don't see why. Now you could do all purple in one super fight at the end.
It really comes down to like the fans of the people competing.
That's
like,
what it comes down. That's who's coming there to support.
It's the whole amateur MMA scene back in the day. Like the fighters are your promoters.
That's right.
And I mean, you could essentially offer them a bigger cut. I don't know, whatever, anything if you want to try to drive those numbers up. But
a lot of those
they're
guys
all
would
just
do it for
figuring
free
out.
anyway.
Oh yeah.
A lot of those guys would do it for free.
Yeah, for sure.
They just sell tickets just to bring their fans, just so they can have that stage, just to show their art. I mean, that's what it is.
Absolutely, and that's what's amazing about it. But then you end up with matches of, of course, they're guys you never heard of, but like, you know nothing about them,
Right.
stuff like that. If you want to get you got to incentivize the better grapplers to get them there. And I heard you guys talking about this before with like the EBI and all that.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much risk and no reward if you're on the top level. Like, why would I go to this thing?
Right.
And then show that I don't compete well in this format and go home empty-handed.
Right. Yeah.
It's become too specific. I like that's why Fight to Win is cool, because I like they have a pretty broad. There's no heel hooks in the gi, but other than that, it's pretty much everything goes, and there's slams and it kind of. It's less to think about, which as a competitor I like, because I hate having to I'm in that new breed. I'm at Inside Senkaku. I got a legs weaved, and I'm like worried about where I put things.
Right.
So like here I am in a checkmate position, and I'm scared to move my limbs without getting disqualified. And the ref's giving me all these warnings I don't understand. I'm like, what are you talking about? I can't even reap from here. What are you saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, is this dude a purple belt? Is he? I don't know anything about my ref. Like, that's the trouble with the local shows. The rules. I remember New Breed specifically, and this is written in their rule set. And I actually asked the ref. I actually went against Matt Paul. I think you've had him on here,
of course.
Matt Monster Paul. This is back when he did a 205 or 199 match or something, whatever their weight class was there. And I had to, the ref says right before our match, he goes, just a reminder, no reaps and no crucifix. And they're calling a crucifix like a cow catcher wrestling, like a double leg defense, and because you could break the neck. And I'm like, no reaps? And Matt's standing right there too, and I'm like, no reaps. Can I heel hook? The guy's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm not understanding right now. Like, I can heel hook him and break his leg, but I can't put him in the reap. And then I looked later, and that's in the rules, read like that. It's very confusing. And then actually, that might actually be my fastest submission victory I've ever had in a grappling match. It was like 6 or 7 seconds.
What, against Matt Paul?
Yeah, I just pulled butterfly right into it would be considered inside ashi now by the new naming system, and just heel hook. I actually went against him at a Naga when I was a purple belt. And same thing. I think I got a toe hold, and it was like a maybe 15, 20-second match, something like that too. And he was 10th planet, but like before they were known for leg locks. So it was like 10th planet, but what does that mean? And then I think I was a brown belt when I went against him at New Breed. But now and then the last time I saw him, he was gigantic.
Yeah, he's got a fight.
He went against Red. I'm like, holy cow, this dude is like 230. He's just looked just shredded too, like huge. I'm like, what is happening? I went against this guy 30 pounds. And I went the other way in weight. So now I'm 185 and he's like 230.
Right.
Like, how are we in the same division at one time?
He's a big, and he's thick too.
Fighting at Bellator.
Yeah. Is he?
When is that?
Is it a Bellator fight? That's awesome.
Is that the 28th, that card?
I'm not sure.
The one here in Chicago.
Yeah.
Matt Paul's on it.
Yeah.
Dylan Dennis is making his debut.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Fedor. Yeah.
Frank Mir. God, what's that date?
I think it's the 28th.
Anyway, stay tuned for that.
Yeah,
whatever
cool.
date it is.
Whatever date it is. Just, you can Google it faster than we can.
Right. Ryan, what else you got, man? We're going 2 hours here.
Yeah, I think we're all good, man. I think we should put some gis on and kill each other.
All right,
Yeah, let's do that.
that.
That sounds like a plan. All right, where can we find you?
Yeah, we are in Wauwatosa. CrossoverBJJ.com is our website. That's where all our info is. I'm doing that Fight to Win Pro, obviously, on the 5th. So everybody should be coming out to that anyways. And we should be packing those houses every single time to make sure that thing is full up so that we can do more and get the grapplers more stuff going on. So I'm looking forward to that big time. That should be a good time.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for coming out, man. Appreciate you driving out on a Friday.
Yeah, no problem, man.
That's cool, man. All right, we'll see you guys. Bye.
Later.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. For more information about Grappler Union Podcast, you could visit us at our website at grapplerunion.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Grappler Union. Please like us on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. And all of our episodes are available on our YouTube channel. Say what?
Be sure to subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to all that shit. You got to do another take, right?
Oh.